Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, people. Hello and welcome to Footy Judge Mo, people. Come on. Arsenal lose. This is going to be peak because Arsenal lose 2-0 to Bournemouth. Saliba red card, third red card of the week. A lot of people are saying conspiracy theories. A lot of people are saying Arsenal should not have had a red card. Howard Webb conspiracy theory against them. Man City score a last-minute winner. People are saying even Gary O'Neill is saying people are favoring Manchester City. I didn't think so. And Liverpool actually top of the league. They're actually convincing. And Chelsea proved everyone wrong by playing a good game. But I don't know where to start. So hit that like button, people. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. All these guys' channels are in the description. Nobbins couldn't be here and Rory couldn't be here. But we got Tom, of course. Dan is here as well. We got both Olu and Martin here with us as well. How's everyone doing after this weekend? Everyone, the Arsenal fans are not happy. Chelsea fans some of them are happy though with the game. Liverpool fans are over the top. Tom went around, right? Tom went around the channel saying that they are top of the league. How's everyone doing? Who's happy? Who's not happy?
I'm good. I'm just saying, Tom's just keeping that first place warm for us, so it's cool. We just keep it nice and warm, and then next week we'll bring it back closer, or this week I should say.
Martin, how are you feeling?
Can't Arsenal not go above us even if you beat us now?
No, we can't. I'm saying you're just keeping it warm for us, though. Just in a few weeks' time, we'll take it back.
Hey, no Saliba, no Odegaard, potentially no Saka.
Yeah, we just thought make it hard mode for us. That's all. It's cool.
Right.
Where do we start?
You've done so well against Bournemouth.
We'll get
Guys,
to that.
let's hit that like button, people, early enough. If you're watching this on the replay, hit that like button, people, early enough. Hit that like button. Where do we start? I wanted to start with City. Nobody wanted to talk about City.
We can start with City because we need to gather out of the chats who is rational.
Okay, go ahead.
The goal, because that is the top. I don't care. Yes, well done, Wolves. You scored in the 10th minute with Tran Larson. Good counter attack. Why can't you do that more? Then Gvardiol is a lie of a left back because he doesn't use his left foot for anything. He just scores right footed worldies. City then do nothing up until the 97th minute. Then a corner headed in by John Stones. Then there's the whole carry on about, oh, he's offside. Oh, he's blah, blah, blah. He's not offside. It's smart by Bernardo Silva. It is the dark arts done well without getting a red card. And ultimately, there is nothing to complain about. I don't know why there's being so much made of it. It is not offside. He's not offside when the corner's taken because you cannot be offside from a corner kick. Then he's not offside. Well, he is offside when Stones heads it, but he's not interfering with the goalkeeper, so he's not offside. Done. Problem solved. If anyone disagrees with me, please explain.
I think the only case you could make was that he was interfering with the goalkeeper when he was onside because he stopped him from being able to come for the ball. But they're not very consistent with how they referee that.
There's nothing against the rules with that, though, is there? You're allowed to.
Well, they made new rules, I think, for this year that you're supposed to not be able to block the keeper. Because Arsenal dark arts, they were trying to
it's excessive blocking, isn't it? Like you're not allowed to do what certain teams done, which was put about 3 people on the goalkeeper so he can't move. This was just Bernardo Silva backing into him once and then moving out the way. Jose Sarr gets too drawn into
in their
it.
way and actually throwing yourself into them, which is what Bernardo did, right? And then he threw himself to the ground. You could tell it was very coordinated and premeditated. Look, I don't begrudge City for it. I think there was another case for saying that the game should have, before the corner, I think there was a foul potentially on the Wolves player for a tackle from behind, and
that was completely missed. You're right, Martin.
Yeah, I think that was
it was a very subjective. By the way, that was a very subjective call. That free kick.
Have City not done that before from a corner as well?
Did they not have a Tottenham?
Yeah, I was going to say. I think I've seen him do that against Macari. I think you're right, actually.
Okay. To be honest with you, from an Arsenal point of view, Arsenal fans complain about hacking the goalkeeper while the corner is being played. It's so ironic, but fine. You guys invented the shit.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't invent it because you can go back and watch Arsenal. So I'll say this very quick.
I'm actually not kidding. I'm actually not kidding.
Impeding the goalkeeper.
Okay, are we kidding here? Arsenal, since last season, you guys did this hack the goalkeeper thing. City did it, and the guy moved out of the way. He moved out of the way before even Stones touched the ball. So that's a new phase. So he's not offside at that time. He's not interfering with the play at all. You can only argue a free kick because he barged into the goalkeeper a little bit before the ball was kicked before the ball was headed by Stones. Otherwise, you cannot argue anything else because you guys do this all the time. Arsenal, of course, not you two.
Right. So I'll say this, right? So the fact saying Arsenal invented it is not true because I remember when Arsenal used to get targeted and the goalkeepers used to be told, our goalkeepers are too weak, right? So it's something that's happened to Taylor's all this time where teams will put a play on a goalkeeper. I know Fazer in the chat is going absolutely crazy that Martinelli did it. Okay, we get it. Martinelli did it. Okay, I would say, to be honest, for me, it's just down to Wolves. If your goalkeeper is being impeded, you drop a defender and you say, right, you stop him. Exactly. So in the end, it's going to be subjective in terms of if the referee's going to let it happen.
The goalie should go down. If he's that desperate at the moment, he's going to go down because keepers are more protected.
Make it obvious to the referee or get a defender to say, right, push him out of the way. But whatever happens, look, it's a goal. Man City got it. And if it happened to any of our teams and we got that goal, we'll rightfully just run around and say, yeah, we've got the last minute goal and enjoy that.
Douglas Luiz scored that corner on us, the Aston Villa one, direct into the goal, and the guy had his arms wrapped around Ramsdale in front of him, holding like that. That was way before we did any dark arts, so I don't want to hear you saying we invented that shit.
Arsenal did.
I don't think any Arsenal fans are really specifically complaining about this. I think it was Wolves that were like pissed off about it. Gary O'Neill was saying that Man City get favourable decisions, which I think is a different discussion.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you got to look. I think also the reason why Arsenal are get sort of painted now is because the amount of corners we score. Sorry, it's not because we invented it. It's just we score so many corners.
It's the fact that you've done it to a different extreme. So, like, Ben White was trying to undo goalkeeper gloves last year. That's different to Bernardo Silva just backing into the into the keeper.
That's different.
That's probably that's where the ideas come from,
that's
because
like
because you're going into the different end of it, which is Ben White trying to play mind games on the keeper. For most people, you're just impeding the keeper there. That's why it sticks in there. For me, if you to ask me where it came from, I remember last year it was the FA Cup game, City versus Tottenham, when everyone found out Vicario cannot claim a ball.
Yeah,
because Nathan Ake would just stand on him and he flapped every single cross. That was when teams really started to ramp it up. I mean, I've seen it against my goalies in the past where they've had people on them, little barge, and they don't win, and it goes in and nothing's given. That the keeping, Bernardo Silva's offside. If I'm the keeper, I'm understanding Bernardo Silva's offside, so don't get drawn into anything that he does. Just focus on what's happening. Jose Sarr starts pushing him. He gets dragged into this pushing match with Bernardo Silva as the corner's coming in, which then means he's not set, which is why the header goes right above him, but he's not set, so he's trying to like reach and panic and grab everything. I mean, Wolves should have had that game dead and buried by the 25th minute. City were at sea.
2-0, 3-0 easy. They had
why was Nelson Semedo the only guy making penetrating runs? I was watching Nelson Semedo run through one-on-one. Like, that's why Wolves are going to go down, because why is their right back their best attacking threat?
There's one thing. I was so yesterday, like I was watching the game and I'm like, why are they so deep in the game, even at 1-1? What is this thing? Brentford tried to play 2-2 and they created chances. Why is this? That's what makes the game boring a little bit. It's not City. It's the opposition defending with 11 players in
to be fair, Mo,
or 25 yards.
Wolves need something. I don't know if you know about Wolves'.
At the end, they lost the game.
No. But I don't know if you know about Wolves' form. They have
5 points out of 60. You said I was watching you on the Little.
5 points out of
60. Subscribe.
Thank you. 5 points out of 66. So
5 points out of 66 is the worst ever, you said, right, Tom?
Yeah.
Ever in the Premier League history.
It's worse than Derby's run of form when they got 11 points. This is the worst run of form any team's ever had in the Premier League. They picked up 5 points out of the... To be fair, I think it's 5 points out of 23 now. 5 points out of their last 23 games. So when they're 1-1 in the 90th minute against City... I'm not shocked that they're trying to sit back.
Bro, they defended from like 1-1 the first half. The second half starts, and I see every single Wolves player like back to their area. I'm not about that. To be honest,
trying to counter.
There is a difference between opening up and opening up. But Brentford, for example, like they tried to play a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they weren't like sitting in there. City, Jose Sarr had brilliant saves. The problem is, I'm all about it if you are winning, but if you're drawing, I don't think the point would have made a massive difference to Wolves, to be honest. But anyway, like for City, the question is this sustainable?
Yeah, if you Liverpool last year, it's not.
So wait, so Mo, do you remember? I think a couple of weeks back I said that City always do this: start the season really well, fall off, people will judge them, and then we get to January and they go on a run, and it's literally repeating itself over and over again. I said every single season it's a repeated action with this City team. To be honest. Like, is this sustainable? As long as we've got Pep, I'm not going to like count anything out or make any sort of like
100%. That's what I said. Yes.
On them. Yeah, I think it's this conversation literally every year we have it around the same time as well.
Ghost Nathan is saying only thing it might be about foul leading to the corner. Yes, which happened last season. I think I can't remember again. It's who it happened last season. I can't remember who, but it was the same for City. But again, it's a very subjective call. We're not going to go about this, but it's a very subjective call. I wouldn't go about it that much. I wouldn't say that, yeah, they got favored. I thought the goal was legit. At the end, they used the Arsenal corners thing that I say, gangbang corners that I said yesterday.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure when we do it, it wasn't really like It's not really
Bro, if
recommended.
you're gonna cancel this, what about Martinelli hacking? The ball was about to be
No, I mean, the
kicked,
fact that they
so
relied on
headed,
a
and
set
Martinelli
piece.
backed into Ederson.
Why are they relying on a set piece in the 97th minute to beat Wolves?
Yes,
And
we're talking. Now we're talking.
they had the
Wolves
most
defended
passes they've ever had. And I think they broke a record for Man City. It was the most passes they ever had in the opposition half or something. Like I didn't watch the game, but
it
it
was
sounds
final
like
third. I remember when they brought up the stats. It was passes in the opposition final third in the first half.
Final third, even not even half.
Yeah. Man
So it
City had
sounds like I'm just a real
293.
bop.
Was it 293? Yeah, Man City had 290. This was just first half. Man City had 293, and Wolves had 5.
What?
Yeah.
So
Five
Man City had
passes in the final.
Man City had 293 passes in the opposition final third in the first half, and Wolves had 5.
In the second half only.
First half only. I don't know what it
First
was in the
half
second half, but it was that was just it in the first half. In the second half, I can only assume it was an even bigger split, which is mental when you're looking at how big a split that first half was. I think that Wolves defended well for the most part. They limited the chances. I don't think Haaland got into the game. Craig Dawson done a really good job on him. Limited the opportunities there, and it was
No, 275, and the other guys had 21 in the first half.
Sky Sports said differently.
Yeah. Anyway,
It was at the end
it's
of the
just
game.
gonna be skewed. But anyway, it is what it is. Red Line, Tom, you're wrong. It's 15 out of
it's 15.
66 points.
It's
Not
not much
5.
better.
Just check.
It's not much better.
It's fantastic, actually. But anyway, moving on from City, to be honest.
So I just want to
I
say,
think
so
City are gonna be fun.
on that stat though, for
See,
Wolves,
Dan, it's not me.
I know it's me. No, just about Wolves.
It's not me.
We never talk about some of the other teams. For Wolves, I mean, I think it's kind of unfair to them because they've had so many decisions go against them, and blatant decisions as well, where they've lost points or they've drawn games. So I would assume some of that points will be, they should have more than 15 out of 66 if we're being very honest. But PGML. But yeah, anyways.
Where we go? Go Arsenal or Liverpool first and Chelsea.
Wait, are we so we're finished on the City? Because I was kind of waiting for it to be mentioned, but are we not going to talk about how poor City's wingers look in Savinho and Doku?
Did you see Savinho there? That Savinho looked
think
horrific, to be honest.
He is not what I expected at all. I just don't think he's been at it whatsoever. And I feel like him and Doku...
Yeah, because there's no spaces, Dan. This is completely different.
There's space for them to get on the ball in wide areas. There's just not space in behind.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that a winger can't beat his man one-on-one if there's no space directly behind the defender. They can take on their man into the box.
Doku did about 3 or 4 times. Doku did 3 or 4 times.
I think that Pep's decided to revert to these players, obviously, that are strength in wide areas, quick, able to beat a man. And I don't see what it's bringing to his City team. I don't understand. I know he's trying to be ahead of the curve, but I don't understand what they're bringing to his team at the moment.
So shock horror. Players who come from Spain eventually find it difficult to play in the Premier League, at least for a year. I mean, again, tell us all this time, right? And to be honest, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to make it about Arsenal.
Torres was fine. Fernando Torres managed it fine.
Yeah,
Gabilondo was fine.
That's true.
Aguero was fine.
Aguero was fine. Pedro was fine.
Enough with the examples, okay?
Aguero was good.
No, shock horror. And
Torre, the first year he came to City, he was magnificent.
Yeah.
I was gonna say though, I want to make it about Arsenal for a second and Saka, right? It just kind of shows how difficult it is as a winger, especially when
was Saka being mentioned? He didn't even play on the weekend. Saka got mentioned?
Because listen to the point. I was trying to make a point about Savinho and why he's finding it difficult, right? And I was just saying how difficult it is. You're going to say more Salah as well. How difficult it is as a winger in the Premier League is to do what you do. Because I think people think it's simple because we've seen these things happen, and now you're seeing players who are just coming in to the league and they start well, and then after a while start to struggle. So you should appreciate some of this other players, a little bit more. That's all I'm trying to say. Jeez.
Lee, 100% that's wrong. Doku looked better than Savinho yesterday. Lee, I don't know what you were watching. Oh man, 100%.
Has he scored yet for City or not?
He did. No, he did score an assist. He did. I think more than one time. Yes. No, he was very good. The difference is yesterday there was no spaces for him, so he would try to run the guy to the line, but there is nothing. tried to cross and everything, but I don't think
No,
Savinho was good. Doku was all
Savio
right.
hasn't scored. Savio
No, I
hasn't
don't
scored.
think
I thought he did.
I don't think he scored.
No, he hasn't.
No.
No, I
He's
thought
got
he
2
did.
assists, but he
He's got
hasn't
assists,
scored.
yeah.
He hasn't scored for them.
I'm just not sure whether or not City carry on with this style of football that they're going to.
Oh, yeah, he hasn't scored a goal, bro.
Changed you, though. I think Pep is worried because I don't think he's got the change that he can make.
I actually think I know what he can change, Tom. I know what he can change. And we're not going to spend more time on City. 20 minutes. We set the timer.
What's the change then? What's the change? Because I don't see it. I think the logical change would be, so he right now has his wingers dead wide and tries to get an overload in midfield with one of the defenders tucking in. That isn't working at the minute. The wingers are getting managed out wide, so they can't spread the play out wide. And then when they force it through the middle, they run out of ideas, and Haaland can't get into the game as much. The only change I could think of him doing is then trying to put his wingers more narrow, playing a Grealish or a Foden out on the wings who want to drift inside, and then have a fullback go and attack that space to try and get that width elsewhere and create more space in the half space. The problem is, in his attempt to get all the defensive control and all the inverted control, Manchester City have 0 attacking wing backs.
Let's not do this. No,
Gavardio was the only one yesterday. Gavardio looked very good yesterday. On the ball. He was so composed.
Yeah,
very composed. Even after the goal, it's not only because of the goal. Gavardio looked very composed on the ball, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mo, when Gavardio was bought, did you say Man City have bought an attacking wing back there?
No.
Did you say they bought a centre back?
But it's not their fault. Okay, let me just tell you this. I was thinking about this yesterday, right? It's not their fault that Wolves defended with the 11 players in 25 to 30 yards. So they weren't asked to be like Man City defense, right? They were wide open every time Matthias Cunha had the ball and they played these 1-2s and they broke the press, right? But Gavardio, actually, when he was defending on that left side, he looked good. Gavardio going forward looks good. It's not his fault that the opposition is defending very deep. He wasn't asked to defend because the opposition is not attacking.
This isn't something new for City. This isn't just a recent revelation.
But I'm going to tell you the difference. Let me tell you the difference. I'm going to tell you. Pep Guardiola, in some other games this season, used to drag the opposition out. Used to not have the ball that high. That will create space for Savinho and Doku and Jack Grealish. This game, Wolves didn't fall into the trap. This game, when Man City were passing the ball, Wolves didn't even try to come out to get the ball.
If Wolves, and I don't think Wolves are the first team to not move from. Yeah, I was going to say, right. So
Brentford did it then. Brentford fell into the trap. Brentford fell into the trap and tried to press.
I think they probably did a little bit. And I think this is where I wonder whether Pep's going to realise that actually the space in behind that he's expecting these wingers to have, it just isn't going to be there. And I do wonder whether or not we see a shift in him moving to a
But you know that Pep Guardiola is going to adapt, right? Very simple.
Yeah, this is what I mean. And I'm not sure whether
he's
or
best
not...
coach in the league, 100% is going to find that.
I don't think he adapts. I think what happens is that
he stays with it, Olu?
I think he stays with it and they figure it out. Because I think what happens, we do this again every year. I think he starts a system and eventually his team picks up on it and they start to learn how to break teams down using the system. So I think what
he's going to try to find the spaces. Yes, he's going to, at the end, you always trust, as Olo says, Pep Guardiola to find the right formation, the right combination to break down the opposition within his team. It's always that. It's always this.
So you think, so in another 30 games' time, we'll still be seeing the same system pretty much from Pep?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not
because
sure.
In the last 2 seasons, he actually changed the system midway through the season to start getting these rhythms and wins. But if there's one coach you trust, it's that guy, right?
Yeah.
It's this guy.
I didn't watch the game, so I don't want to comment on it too much. But I've seen a lot of City games, right? And the more that they pancake the field down into like just the opposition box area, the less wingers are going to be able to do. It's just logic.
Yeah, but they don't do this every game.
No, but okay.
Not every
I think
game.
Arsenal did our like 10-man defend for our life thing where no one leaves their position. I think other teams are going to try and adapt to that. And I think Man City are just going to work out, okay, the best chance for us now is long shots. We need to get specialist shooters at the edge of the box because they're going to have a lot of opportunities.
Even De Bruyne comes back, Martin, and
Rodri. Yeah.
Team have to come out a little bit. The teams have to come out a little bit, and then the spaces will be behind the midfield.
I feel
he's going to find that space.
when City last had success out of their wingers, that I really recall when they were absolutely unbelievable was probably in the days of like Sane, Sterling, and they played a much more vertical game than what they do now, where I feel like
Very
it's
direct.
horizontal.
Yes.
Yeah, it's right in front.
Sterling
and
and Sane were cutting right in, and they were sitting.
That's
just on
it.
the
So, and
inside of
I
it,
look at
having that
Doku and this Savio as players that fit a similar mold to those players in that type of system than this current mold, where I feel like you're better off with probably, if a team's going to sit back like Wolves did, a Bernardo Silva or a Foden out wide, or
Yeah, that's true.
potentially. I'm just not sure. Maybe Oscar Bob is a player that actually in this system looked before the injury, looked like he would be a little bit more direct, and in that situation where he's one-on-one with a team sitting back, he's actually able to dribble through those players.
Can I say one thing though? Also, I think I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Haaland might be a reason right now why,
But
it doesn't
not
look-
true.
No, let me
Bernardo,
explain,
yes. Grealish, no. But
Oh,
yes, go ahead.
Let me explain. So the reason why I say that is
Grealish was
because
one.
I'm not going.
season.
I don't want to discuss. I don't want to discuss Grealish again.
Wait, who
We've
said,
had it on the show many
who
times.
said anything about Grealish?
No.
wait.
Forget. I'm just responding to Lee. So go ahead.
Right.
So
Finish I want to move on to Liverpool,
Yeah.
please.
So when there were the times of Aguero and Jesus as the strikers, you had strikers who would run into the channels or drop back, right? As opposed to someone like a Haaland who goes in behind. So in creating more space, when you have players who are moving around, it's easier for wingers to sort of take position. So you look at Sterling, like back post in the middle of the goal. Whereas now with Haaland, who obviously is more direct to goal, he's not moving into the channels. He's not trying to get across. He's trying to get at the end of the ball. The wingers don't have that much more space to sort of move around the pitch. So again, it's going to be an adaptation of Pep's system at some point, but by adaptation, I don't mean he changes it. I think the players just get more comfortable to what he wants him to do as the season pans on. Or that's what I would hope if I was a Man City fan. As an Arsenal fan, I would want it to absolutely explode and they finished 15th.
You know what though? The start of the season, I don't think City have necessarily played well this season. But at the start of the season, they were focusing. It was almost like their system was built around giving Haaland the best quality chance Haaland can go off of.
Yes.
They were going in behind a lot. They were going direct. They were just trying to get the ball into the feet of Haaland. They understood that Kevin De Bruyne wasn't at his brilliant best. Now Rodri's out, but Rodri was missing at the start of the season. Foden wasn't really involved for a number of reasons. They were playing a weaker side, and they basically just went, let's go get the ball to our superstar up front in the best positions for him. And now that certain players are back, it almost feels like, again, he's trying to do it the Pep way. And Haaland, yes, Haaland's always going to score goals. And this is not me saying that Haaland doesn't work in the Pep Guardiola system, because he does, because he's won 2 leagues and he's won 2 golden boots. He obviously does. But I almost feel like when your team is struggling for ideas in the way that City's has been for a couple of weeks now, the focus just needs to go to getting the ball to him as many times as possible, in as many situations as possible. That Brentford game, yes, they won. They weren't great. But Haaland, that's what Haaland does. Steps up, wins the game for them. 2 brilliant goals. And this is what I look at. And then I look at City this season. I thought Wolves should have had that game dead and buried, but they didn't take the chances. I thought Fulham should have had their game against them dead and buried, but Adama Traore still can't finish chances. Brentford should have had their game dead and buried, but they still can't finish chances. I just wonder, with City this year, that they're giving up a lot more chances than usual at this point. At this point in the season, normally with City, they look a bit slow going forwards, but my God, are they solid at the back. This season, Haaland's got 10 goals already. Joke. But teams are getting a lot of joy. And I think that's got to be the thing that Pep wants to fix. They are too exposed at the back. And I'm saying they've still got the 4th best XG conceded in the league. But when you compare like the quality of teams faced, like they gave up 2 XG to Fulham. They gave up 1 XG to Wolves. Wolves are crap. Like these are the things that I look at with City, and that's where the questions start for me. We don't know what that Arsenal game would have been like if Arsenal had 11 men.
Yeah, but I think at the end, the last things, I don't think all of this matters. because I know how the season's
just
gonna
spent
go.
30 minutes doing nothing. Well done,
No,
everyone.
no.
Just
I'm gonna
spent
tell you.
30
I'm
minutes
gonna tell
talking
you
about
how.
something that doesn't
I'm
matter.
gonna tell you how. I'm gonna tell you how this goes. Unless Liverpool keep winning, or Arsenal, one of them, City are gonna be very, very close to the top. Comes the last 20 games of the season, City are gonna win 19 or 18, draw 2, and someone has to be up there ahead of them, winning the same amount of game. Same
Like
as
I
everything. You know exactly what is gonna happen.
Well, there's also the court case thing in January, so I don't know. There's
Okay,
a
that's
little bit of
different.
better in the works.
Frank is saying, on a very, very serious note, can we get a VAR check on all the facts and stats provided by Tom in the past? This lies needs to stop. Is your name even Tom?
It's Jimmy.
I fact checked my own stats. So I went through my 5 from 66. I was wrong. It's 8 from 60. It's 8 from a possible 60.
8
So
from 60.
they've got 1 point so far this season, Wolves, and they only have. I think they
Hold
only
on, they
won
have 1
2.
point this season. This is it. The
Yes.
table says, I didn't
They
even
have 1
check
point.
that.
Can we fact check
Table
that?
all the
please?
way down. Oh, they have
That-
1 point. Them and Southampton have 1 point actually.
And then
And they
last
play
se- at the
Brighton
back end
next,
of last
bro. They
season-
aren't winning. This is
So-
gonna be.
So it's that. So that takes you to what, 20 out of a possible 24. They've got 1, and then at the back end of last season, they lost to Liverpool, lost to
At
Palace,
least we
lost
know
to
in 2
City,
weeks,
lost
Tom,
to Bournemouth,
they're gonna
lost
play
to Arsenal.
Southampton. One team will have more than 1 point.
They'll
We
both
know
have 2
that.
points.
We
They'll
know
both
that
have
for
2
a
points
fact.
put on them.
Listen, let's go to Liverpool and Chelsea yesterday. Okay, where do we start with the incident, the Tosin one? I'm gonna start with Dan, actually, on this. There are 2 incidents in the game that I think that made the big difference: the Tosin incident and the Jadon Sancho penalty. Right? Before we speak about the game, I don't want to spend a lot of time on him, but I want to hear Dan's opinion on him.
On the Tosin.
Both Tosin and the Sancho penalty that wasn't given.
Yeah.
The alleged penalty.
Okay, so for me, I think Tosin red card, and I think Sancho could be a penalty.
So you think Tosin should have seen red?
Yeah, I just think for me, last man, no matter where you are, is red card. I think it should be that simple. And I think the PGMOL have brought in way too many grey areas around that whole debate. But I just think it doesn't matter who the person is. It's so subjective to look at every player who could be in the foot race, where they are on the pitch exactly. If it should just be as simple as, if it's last man, if he brings down the man, it's a red card.
And everyone agree? I disagree with that.
I know, I agree. So I kind of agree on that, because I remember there was a season back when it became confusing, where it was like, if you purposely went to take if you're the last man, you purposely went to take down a player, you get a yellow card. But if it was a mistake, you got a red card. And I got confused because I was like, well, surely all players would just naturally just take people out when they're last man. And now it seems to have changed. Again, I don't know how people keep up with all the changes on the rules, because it seems like every
That's
other
what
week.
I mean, Olu. Like, I feel like the PGMOL, this is the real problem here, because we're talking about consistency and all this again. If they just made these decisions, they made the rules so simple to follow that it doesn't matter what happens. If you're last man and you bring down a player, you're off, right? It's so easy then to be consistent. It's the fact that every situation they interpret it differently and they look at slightly different things, and the referee views it a little bit different, and the crowd noise might be different on one to another. If they make these rules simple, like in the Champions League, if it touches a hand, it's handball. It's so simple. And then in the Champions League, we very rarely get discussions about refereeing all the time. We just chat about how good the football was.
That
And
ref
that's the
yesterday was
difference for
crap,
me.
by the way. He was horrendous.
Yeah, but Tom, he was, right? Both sides, I think he was way off it. But we're talking about refs all the time. And actually, we just need to look at the football in these games. They're massive games. And I feel like every game, every weekend, we're just chatting about PGMOL not being up to standard. It's just ridiculous.
It's big of you to say it should have been a red. I believe that neither of them should be reds. Like, I don't think either of those offenses are enough to send a player off and go down to 11 versus 10. I'm sick of seeing 11 versus 10. I don't think it's good football to watch, especially sending someone off in the first half for it. Like, I don't know, giving them a yellow card and giving them, like, I don't know.
No, it's definitely red. I just can't. The tossing one, the only argument I've seen against it is Jota's further away and the ball ends up bouncing towards Colwill. Yes, it ends up bouncing towards Colwill because Jota's on the floor, having been booted in the fucking ribs before he can get a chance to control the football. The Evan Nielsen and Saliba one, Saliba, If he'd have pulled him down earlier, he probably only gets a yellow, which is again part of the problem. But the Saliba problem was that when he's pulled him down, the ball's bounced right wherever Nielsen was going to be. So again, I can't. I've always been someone who says denial of a goal scoring opportunity. When you're last man, you bring someone down to pen, and you know why you're doing it. I don't think Saliba needs to foul him. I don't think Tosin.
I think
needs to
Saliba is
foul
a
him.
blatant thread. I don't know why everyone is arguing about it.
I
Yeah,
just think
they're
both
both red.
defenders
But
in that moment.
I think that Tosin was.
Mo, what's the difference?
It's a red. It's a red. Both of them are
I
red.
explained. I still saw the ball. The ball was going sideways. I watched the Jota. The ball was going towards the right side.
Yeah,
it wasn't going towards the goal.
Okay, the only reason
let
changed.
me explain.
Yeah, but
Let
the
me
only
explain.
reason the ball changed direction is because didn't it touch the player's foot?
No, it
Yeah.
didn't.
It did.
I'm
It didn't.
pretty-
It bounced
Let me
and
watch
went
it
right
back.
side.
Right. But
I'm gonna
then-
watch it again.
Okay, so then what? It hits a divot in the floor and changed the direction of the ball.
Okay, so
if
you
the
look at the
defense-
angle.
okay,
Okay. They look
Mo,
at the angle.
if
Okay,
the
here's-
defenders, hang on, if the defenders are aware that if they are last man and they bring their man down, it's as simple as that. You could risk being sent off.
100%.
Don't make that decision to try and bring the man down. Back yourself physically to compete in the foot race because Saliba is easily quick enough to compete in that foot race there, that far away from goal. Ben White, we've seen recovery pace is there. Just do your best to delay without fouling. And I think that has to be
I don't.
the
Okay,
message.
hold on.
Or
I
wait,
don't disagree
or-
at all. Then I don't disagree with what you said. I am literally just explaining why I think one of them is different than the other. The ball was literally going towards Ivan Nelson, and yes, Saliba made the mistake, and Trossard is an idiot for passing it back, and this is a red card. For the Tosin one, the ball was going towards the right side, not towards the goal. So Jota will have to go right side, and the angle from behind shows that. Can you send me the clip if you find it on Twitter, Tom, again, so I can confirm what I saw over and over again? This is why I think they didn't
There's
see
nothing
it
in
as
the rules
clear and
about
obvious.
saying the ball
And
has to
for
be
the
towards
people,
the goal. Like,
can I make the
that's
last
just
point?
ridiculous.
Can I make the last point? And for the people that keep saying, why did they see? And I find this so, to be honest, disingenuous from the people that keep saying, what was clear and obvious from the referee? So they had to be called to the monitor to check the William Saliba thing. Because the referee was looking at the play and Ben White is to the left and he can't see the whole pitch. So they needed to tell him for him to make a decision if there was anyone close to the ball or not. So it definitely required him to go to the monitor. It's very simple. I don't understand this. People are saying,
looked at the
well,
video.
it's clear and
Sorry,
obvious. It was a clear and obvious error. It was clear and obvious error.
Mo, I've looked at the video again. No, so the ball, if you look at the video again, the ball just keeps going in the same direction. The ball that it was being hit. It was, in fact, I've taken a freeze frame, but
This is not a video, Tom, right?
No, it's the pause of it. So
Yeah,
It's not a video, right?
Yeah.
It's
I'm not going to play it.
literally this. They're almost in the same position. Like I think Saliba and whatever his name is a little bit further ahead.
Literally,
But yeah,
the ball going to the right side. Literally, the ball is on the right side, not in straight. It's right here. You can tell it's right side, but fine.
Yeah, but that's because.
So,
But that's because,
Go and
but
watch
that's
the
because-
video then. It's
sorry,
very
sorry.
simple.
Look at my striker. My striker's in a heap
No,
on the floor before he can try and control it.
Exactly.
So
Tell
no
me the
idea
difference
where
between
that's
yellow
going.
It's
card
far.
and a red
I'm gonna
Wait,
watch it
wait.
again, man. Oh my
No,
God.
you're telling me
Go
the
watch
difference
it
between the yellow card and red card on that is that the ball went a little bit to the right versus one.
Yeah, it's
that's
100%
Mo, have
because
you-
it's
have
not
you
a clear
got-
obvious
no,
error.
Have you got,
Like, how
Mo,
can
have you
you-
got the clip?
I don't. I'm trying to look
It's
for
on.
it.
If you go on
I-
Chelsea's
I will-
website, they have
Yeah.
the
I'll
highlights
send you
there.
the
You can
angle.
find it straight away.
I'll send you the angle I just used on the 6-second clip.
From
My point to
behind.
that is, yeah.
All
it's
right,
from
guys.
behind.
Halas, I'm against Arsenal. I'm with Chelsea, which is
It's not- it's
established.
My
not about
point to
being-
that is, you look at the situation.
It's definitely to the right side. What is happening here? Jota is literally
It's to
running
the-
right. The
Oh
ball is not
my
even
God.
straight. I just watched it again.
See,
Oh
the
my
angle-
God.
agree,
Allah-
Wait,
so,
sorry,
I'm
no,
not changing.
Mo,
But to
Mo,
be honest with
Mo,
you,
Mo,
we can agree to disagree, by the way.
Wait,
We
no,
can
no,
agree to
Mo.
disagree.
If you watch the ball again, the ball moves because the way Trent hits it, it starts to curl outwards.
Bro,
Right?
Jota. Okay.
What's wait, let me finish. But
Finish
the
your point,
direction,
because this
the
is crazy,
direction,
actually.
the direction that Jota is running is the same. Is the same flight of the ball, path of the ball
Oh
before
my
it hits
God,
the
this
ground and
is-
moves. I think you're arguing.
brain freeze.
I know you're arguing a point that shouldn't be argued. And the fact of the matter is this: for me, listen,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like this. Give the goal away. if you're a defender in that position, you feel like you're about
It
to lose
wasn't
out,
going towards the goal.
It doesn't matter. You don't bring the player down. You do not bring the player
Fine.
down.
We
Simple
agree
as.
on this. Why
And
are we?
if you-
Why do you keep mentioning this, Olo? Why do you keep mentioning this?
Because
We
I'm just
agree
saying,
on this.
Exactly.
Dan already said that, and we agreed on it. You don't
Yes.
bring the player down. You back yourself in a foot race to get the player. We agree. Okay.
Yes.
Now we are on the decision, and we don't want to be stuck here. The Arsenal, the ball was going towards the goal. They aren't going to do assumptions to assume that Saliba is going to catch it, Ben White. They don't do that. They look at the trajectory of the ball. The player is going towards the goal. It's going to the goal. Saliba was going to catch him. I agree with you, but that's not what
So,
Saliba
I
did. And it's
disagree with you
Saliba
on that.
trying to catch him.
I'm going to
Let me-
disagree with you. No, I'm just going to disagree with you right now. Is this right?
Right.
The reason I'm disagreeing with you, the VAR for the Arsenal didn't look from behind the goal. He didn't look at the trajectory. He looked
Okay,
at it
how do you know that?
because we saw what he looked at. We literally saw what he looked at. He looked at the ball in the same in the angle the TV camera looks at, and he made a decision based off that. Which means that the VAR
There
should
was
have done the
literally an
same.
angle behind. I'm going to stop you here. There was an angle from behind the goal for Saliba one. Definitely, there was an angle from behind the goal. Anyway,
Yes, but did VAR use it? Because what the
well, how
TV
would
gets
we
on-
know? By the way, how would we
Because,
know?
Because they show 'em on the
because guess
screen.
what? It gives you a live feed of what the VAR is showing. So you know when he gets sent to the monitor, we see what the referee's seeing at the monitor because it shows us on the telly. So I don't know. I didn't
If I
watch the
remember
game.
correctly,
didn't watch the game,
I
so I don't
watched
know
the
what
angle from
showed.
behind the goal.
Yes, but the telly, so the TV companies have more angles, so they can show you an angle that the VAR doesn't get to see. So, like, yeah, because there's another incident from the game yesterday. The second Curtis Jones penalty, where Sanchez comes out, makes the tackle. Curtis Jones, it comes off Curtis Jones again, goes through his legs. Then he goes over the keeper, and then the ref gives the penalty. Goes to the monitor, overturns it. We saw about 2 angles that weren't shown on VAR, and that the whole thing is, if you look at it from one angle, definite penalty. You look at it from another angle, he wins the ball. Look at it from a third one, the keeper touches it, and then Curtis Jones puts it through his leg. Like, there's so many
What is
different angles
this?
of it. I'm just
Okay.
saying that we.
So can I get
that angle might not
the
be
last
shown to
conclusion of
VAR.
everyone on the panel then?
Penalty.
So we move on from this.
What about the penalty?
Tom thinks both should
Is
have
this
been
the penalty
red.
or the red card? I'm confused.
Both are
The
reds.
red card. The red cards.
Both are red.
Tom
When I was
thinks
on
it's
Dom's
all
exam
it's
show, I
both
said
are
that-
red. Dan thinks both are red. Olo and
I
Martin,
said that
of
when it was a
course.
red for ours, but if it's a yellow for those guys, then I'm going. It should be yellow for both. I
It
don't
should
want
be
to
yellow for
place
Saliba. That's what you guys think. I think otherwise. Let's just agree to disagree. Okay.
Yeah. And the
What's
penalty,
Anybody in the penalty? Quick
it was a pen. It was a pen.
on
What one?
on,
That
Jadon- on Trent.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah,
pen.
yeah,
Sancho. Yeah.
I think it was a
Sancho.
pen. I think it's very strange that they didn't even let him to go and see
they didn't-
if
they
he made a
didn't
clear and
VAR it,
obvious
did they?
error or not. Like, I thought they would have gone to them, asked them to go to the monitor and make his own decision. Why? Because there was contact. It wasn't like minimal. He stood on his foot, not looking at the ball, and the ball was behind. So
Not just that. Also, I mean, as well, like Sancho is moving direction away from, like he's moving away, and stepping his foot stops him from being able to actually move his foot as well. So in that situation, you're impeding the player, which makes it a penalty. So even if it was a tiny touch, a flick, it still stops Sancho because my daughter's here. Yeah, I haven't seen the scissors. Sorry. If it was just that he if it was just that sorry, my daughter's that's my brain. Yeah, if it was just that that's he just touched him and Sancho was standing still, I can understand why the ref didn't give it. It's because for me, it's because he moved. He was moving. He was cutting back the other way, and then he gets stepped on. I think at that point that has to be a pen because you're impeding the player from making a move that he wants to make. But I don't want Tom.
go into
thinks.
the game itself.
I think
Who
it
is
was. I didn't even get. I think it was accidental. But if that had been given as a pen, I'm not. I wouldn't be sitting there.
You wouldn't
going,
be
"Oh my
against
God,
it, right?
Christ." It wouldn't be the worst decision I've seen. To be fair, I think that out of like there's so many decisions that referee was shit on yesterday. I mean, I still think personally that the second penalty that got overturned is a pen. I do.
But he got the
Yeah,
ball.
but it's on the technicality, isn't it? That his foot got there first, like just. or his leg.
but then Curtis Jones kicks it back through his leg. I'm all the first initial point. Yes, he wins the ball, and then Curtis Jones kicks it back through his leg.
Yeah, but he
And
can't-
then-
I think. I'll be honest.
Okay, hold on. But he didn't impede him. Don't like if I'm tackling and I hit the ball against someone.
What do you mean he didn't impede him?
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna explain to you. I'm gonna explain to you in a footballing term. If I'm tackling and I win the tackle first and I hit the ball against someone and then they barged into me because of their momentum, I was in the right place because I got to the ball first. So it's not, I don't have to move out of the way when they have momentum because I won the ball first. And then, by the way, Sanchez's momentum didn't take him into Curtis Jones' momentum took him into Sanchez. I thought it was very obvious.
Sanchez
Both?
came out.
You can say both. You can say both.
Yeah,
They're both
I
coming
both
together, but,
players
like,
inevitably both players were both had the momentum to hit each other. I don't think it was one was going in faster than the other. I think as soon as a keeper comes out with his feet, he risks committing a foul that could be looked at as a penalty, because if a keeper goes with his hands, he'll be protected and they'll say keeper was trying to claim the ball with his hands. It's okay. If the keeper goes with his feet there, it's almost a slide tackle. So a slide tackle in the box gives a referee a decision to make. The only reason Sanchez, and it's poor from Sanchez, right? That's the main thing here, is Sanchez keeping like that that's just not what a top keeper should be doing. The main reason Sanchez got away with it is literally because his foot or his leg, his shin, touches the ball first before Curtis Jones gets that touch. The only thing is, in the Champions League, that's never even given the first penalty as well, because it touches his hand. So that would be overturned in the Champions League. So both penalties, it's just the PGMOL have messed up the rules so much in the Premier League that we're now got all these different scenarios that occur. There's no consistency because they apply a grey area to every single decision.
And so I was going to say on the Curtis Jones one as well. I mean, as a goalkeeper, 'cause I used to play in goal, shock. And you were told basically when you're coming out, you're just trying to get your body as big as possible, right? If it hits you, it hits you. Like, you don't necessarily think I'm going to go in my hand here, especially when you're sort of rushing out, trying to close like distance as quick as possible. Like, the fact that he hit him and he rebounded back onto Curtis Jones, like, he can't control his body at that point. He's actually blocked. He's blocked the shot, and he's just following through in a natural motion. You don't stand still, right? You can't just stop on a dime. So what happens after that? Like, it's not going to be a penalty because he's already blocked the shot or blocked originally what he was trying to do, and everything else that happened is just consequential in terms of that sort of continuation of motion. If that had been given a pen, that'd have been horrible, because I think there'll be so many situations where at that point, like, you start giving pens for just like double touches and things like that. I think.
Yeah. Let's talk about the game now. Are we going to move on from the referee?
I was a little disappointed that both teams looked like they were kind of relying on pens to get on the score sheet, because Liverpool did something which was surprising to me at home at Anfield, which was to play a less aggressive style of football. I wouldn't say exactly they were sitting back, but quite a lot they were in like a mid-block. They weren't really pressing Chelsea. And I'm not used to seeing that at Anfield, where it's like you can't breathe when you go there because they're pressing you to death. So I think there was a real change there in the way that Slot plays versus Klopp, and it was something maybe will go under the radar, but more pragmatic. We're seeing that from a lot of managers, and chasing teams into their own areas is a little bit too risky because you commit too many players forward, especially with Chelsea. But Chelsea had more possession, more shots on target away at Anfield. I feel like that's kind of going under the radar a little bit because Liverpool weren't as dominant as I thought they would be. And their goal was beautiful. Salah.
Did Chelsea have more shots on target than us?
No, they didn't. Liverpool had more.
Yeah, more shots in general, but not on target.
I thought they caught up.
No, it's the other way around. The other way around. Liverpool had more shots on target. Chelsea had more shots in general.
Yeah,
they had more possession as well. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like Liverpool were letting Chelsea do their thing, and then trying to hit on the counter a bit more at home. Which
I actually think it was full. But let me do this couple of super chats. Donna Colin, thank you so much for becoming a member. Happy birthday to my beloved Tom Little. Thank you so much. AMT saying, what about the severity of the tackle? Jota was kneed on the chest. Actually, it was the fall down. He fell on his chest, so that's accidental, to be honest. Like, he pulled him down. It wasn't that at all, by the way. Like, I just went and watched it again, AMT. He literally fell on him. That's not.
Yeah, that's not red. It's just annoying that now he's probably out injured for a little bit. Although,
is he injured because of that?
Yeah, that's why he had to
go.
I thought it was his leg.
Oh, okay. I thought it was his leg.
Yeah,
it was that he was gonna go off at first because Nunes was getting ready, and then we kept him on for another 20 minutes see if he could play through it.
Oh, okay, so it's the chest,
the ribs. Yeah,
the ribs.
He's probably bruised. I'm hoping he's not broke his ribs, but I think he's bruised his ribs. minimum.
Oh, all right, okay.
To be fair,
Come back to the
Nunes came on and was just a fucking jewel machine. He was like watching a centre mid.
Nunes
when I was-
absolutely suited that game of football more than Jota was ever going to suit it, though, I think.
Jota would have been better if we wanted to dominate the game more.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's why I actually think it was
Nunes
a slight.
You know that
benefit
I'm
on
gonna
the
say
side.
something about this thing that we wanted and we didn't want to. I actually think it was forced. Liverpool tried in the first half to play from the back before the goal, and they didn't succeed. Chelsea's press was magnificent. Liverpool tried to go long. That is how I saw it.
Yeah,
Because
to an
I
extent,
saw,
though,
I
you're
saw
right,
them
but then-
trying to go to Robertson to Gakpo keep position, play to the middle, but it didn't work. Chelsea's press was so good, right, that Liverpool were forced to play the long ball.
Only for a small period of time, I believe that was the reason. Then I think the message
Before they scored,
Yeah,
after they scored, of course,
exactly, right.
they like, okay.
But I
خلاص.
think even just before they scored, they'd already sort of identified that space that I questioned, saying that where Gusto or whoever the left back is going to vacate. I said that will be a threat for Liverpool. They started to identify that right hand side would be an area for them to.
We started
break
pinging it
down.
to Salah and
Exactly,
asking him to hold
right.
it up
So
in that
you
position.
just before the penalty, you'd started to do that. Obviously, that comes from the right hand side, that red card potential, whatever with Tosin. I started to see Liverpool looking to play that more, and I think at that point, Slot probably realised Chelsea were going to press in the way that they did, and he probably felt like, actually, we'll just sit and look to play over the top of that press and back ourselves in the 1v1 against Colwell, Tosin, Reece James, and ultimately it eventually led to Colwell being rash and they scored.
I'm fine with the way we played. We just
the goal that
changed it up
Chelsea
as we
scored
needed
was
to.
way too easy, and we got cooked for this when we played Man City, and they just played it through the middle, and Haaland had a tap in. It was almost a carbon copy of that. Too much space in the middle with a high line, and then Van Dijk and Kanate. I don't know what was going on there. Kanate had his leg out going backwards. Van Dijk was going forwards. There was no they just got their lines mixed up, and Jackson had an easy one-on-one. I think that needs to be mentioned a little bit. There was a
It was the only real time they caused was like that because that wouldn't have happened if we didn't have to man mark Cole Palmer, which Curtis Jones done very well, by the way. But that kind of meant so the way we were pressing, Szoboszlai kind of had to do two jobs. So the moment they bypassed the first line, Szoboszlai had to get into the second line. That was one of the few times that he didn't get back in time, and they exploited it. And the reason that there was a space to exploit was because Curtis Jones, instead of sitting where the pivot would sit, it was almost like that, because Curtis Jones was following Cole Palmer out to the right, which is why then Szoboszlai needed to come back there. And it was the one time that at the start of the second half that he didn't do that, because he pressed Tosin. Tosin played it into Caicedo, and he switched off and he didn't track the run, and then we got done on it. And he didn't do it again, to be fair to Szoboszlai. After that point, he was getting back in there. It was kind of a byproduct of it. At the end of the day, if Kanate isn't caught in two minds for a split second and his foot's in line with everyone else, then Jackson's offside, and you've done all right defensively there. Chelsea, I didn't feel like Chelsea created much. Obviously, the Jackson chance was there, and there was that really weird and Kunku moment right at the very end, but I don't even think that's a great chance.
There was a header as well.
A header,
yeah, from what's his name, the left back, Vega. Yeah, the header.
Oh yeah, no, I was fine with that because Kanate was right there. If it's on target, Kanate blocks it, so it's you can't take that into account. So I was just.
Yeah, Palmer had a chance. Palmer had a big chance.
Oh yeah,
actually.
you did.
Again, it was a decent chance, but Van Dijk is
come
right
on,
there.
that's no, but it doesn't matter. He wasn't right there. It went over. If Palmer had that on target, it's a goal.
Yeah,
Cole Palmer in any other game he's played this season scored.
Yeah, but Van Dijk's right there. So my argument is, if that's gonna go on target, my money's on Van Dijk blocking it to send it.
Nah, because there's enough of a gap. There's enough of a gap between Van Dijk and how high Palmer hits it.
Yeah. If you
I haven't seen that chance back. At best, I'd say it's a half chance.
But the thing is that these are all chances that are very sort of limited. They're not quite enough to win you a game of football, I don't think. I just don't think they are. And the one chance that was clear cut was that Jackson one, and he actually took it. But other than that, everything is maybe Palmer does better, maybe Van Dijk blocks it. But other than that, they're all very, I don't know. I just don't think Chelsea did enough to win that game of football. I just don't think they did.
No, I just think we had a decent structure, and we were able to rely on it. in certain moments.
So
I
can
think
can
experience showed, didn't it? And I think the Arne Slot was the one who arguably didn't take a risk and was a little bit more conserved, but probably looked at what Nottingham Forest did against Chelsea and thought, if I go along the lines of something similar, I may back my higher quality players in those one-on-one moments to get me something out of the game. And eventually Salah got one-on-one, played that pass through to Curtis Jones, and they got the winner.
Can I say something?
We had that
actually?
offside one as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
I was going to say one.
So who won the tactical battle, though? Can I
say
understand?
something?
Slot.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to. Can I say something very quickly though? One thing that for me that was interesting and which I didn't expect was the maturity from the Chelsea team, which I've got to give like praise to Maresca for.
Wait,
because
what maturity? Sorry, Ollie, because Levi Colwell's immaturity gave away a couple of fouls. Sanchez's immaturity on the ball gave the ball away to Cody Gakpo on like the 18th minute. He got away with that one. He then gave the ball away a couple more times. He fouled Curtis Jones. He was lucky that he got there first with that touch that technically meant it wasn't a penalty. There was a lot of immaturity in that Chelsea performance. The fact that
there was in that aspect. Like, of course, there's going to be individual mistakes.
There was immaturity from the manager as well. There were moments where Chelsea played well, but Enzo Maresca played two players who were only available for 50 minutes that he had to drag off, whether the game was 1 or 2-1. In that moment, he was making those substitutions. He basically played his cards so that Slot could see that if those players come off, Enzo Maresca's going to have to bring on worse players because he's played two players who are limited to 50 minutes from the get-go.
Do you know what? I was going to be so positive about Chelsea, and you've literally talked me away from it. Okay. You've talked me from the positivity because
I think there's moments where you have to look at it and you can find positives from Chelsea's performance, but there are also issues there where we could have got something from that game because I don't think Liverpool were unbelievable.
So I'll tell you. Wait. I'll tell you my positivity or what I thought of maturity was, which is the ability to go to Liverpool and control a game, right? And maybe to some extent, like you said, there was a element of Liverpool.
Did they control the game, Olu? Or did Liverpool control? Hang on. I think Liverpool controlled that game without having possession.
So I felt maybe again. I'm starting to reconsider it now that we're having this conversation, right? Like going out of yesterday, I felt like actually Chelsea were more controlled in comparison to last year, where it would have been a basketball match and like players would have
this is a game in us. Okay, if you look at last year to now, you can find positives 100%. But at the same time, if you look at this game in isolation, because this game last year we lost 4-1, we weren't in the game at all. There are moments in this game where Chelsea were in the game. Some of our counter pressing in the first sort of 20 minutes was fantastic. After that moment, I didn't see it. It wasn't there to the level that it was earlier on, right? So if you can build on those 20 minutes, then we can do something. And I think Maresca will understand that that's what he wants to see from his team. But there'll be moments when he looks back at it, because I've watched it again this morning. There are things that are inexcusable that have to be coached out of these players.
Yeah, I'll say also the thing I'll say as well, and again, I'm starting to reconsider maybe a little bit of my thoughts, but I still feel there's a little bit more maturity this year than comparison to last year. I'll say the other thing as well is that when the Anfield crowd was getting, apart from the end of the game where it became chasing, you guys were chasing the goal, I think there were certain parts where the Anfield crowd was getting louder, and Chelsea still managed that game to try to bring the emotions down a bit, which, again, as an Arsenal fan, where I've seen Arsenal sort of lose against the emotion of Anfield, it felt like Chelsea were in more control than I expected them to have, right? So this is my expectation going into the game versus the reality of what panned out. And I thought that there was a little bit more maturity than I gave.
But Olu, where were we controlling the game? Because on second watch, we controlled the game with our centre-backs having the ball and being wasteful with it. We weren't controlling the game with Liverpool, with our centre midfielders creating. Cole Palmer getting on the ball, trying to make something happen. Cole Palmer wasn't in the game, right?
We could talk about that.
You can say Lampard can come out and say Chelsea controlled the game and give them all this praise, but at the same time, we all know what Frank Lampard's done as a coach, and where Chelsea controlled the ball is in an area where I don't see that as dangerous against a defence as good as Liverpool's. I think Arne Slot was more than happy for Chelsea to have the ball there.
Them to have the
exactly, Tom. Right? I think, no, don't get me wrong. I think at first, the way the game started, I don't think Arne Slot wanted that. I think
No,
20 minutes
we were trying to go high on you, and you were breaking through the press, and he eventually
that's
just
it,
went,
right? And I think 20 minutes in, he realised that actually you probably got more opportunity to win this game on a one-on-one counter-attacking moment by going long to Salah, letting Salah beat his man in that race, letting Gakpo have it up against Reece James, and Darwin Núñez obviously came on and was another threat in behind. I think he realised after about 20 minutes that actually Liverpool would be pretty comfortable managing the game in that way without having to have the ball. They dictated the play because every single time Chelsea looked to play through them, they couldn't. Liverpool got the ball back and then went over the top and put Chelsea in a foot race facing their own goal.
So, but this is funny to me because this is the stuff which makes Mo say that we play like Tony Pulis. We get abused for this kind of like a pragmatic, mature, letting the other team have the ball kind of stuff. But like, for Liverpool, I guess in contrast to what you're used to, rock and roll football, it might seem as like a change of style, but I think it's funny to see how it's framed.
I am happy with what we've done. I can't knock what we've done.
I was going to say, Tom, do you think that actually with that in mind, do you think that's why he chose not to play Diaz and played Gakpo instead?
I'll be honest, I think that was just a fitness thing. All the
Really?
South Americans were on the bench. They only got back on Friday,
Fair.
and
Fair. Okay.
Gakpo had to cover it because we didn't know who was going to be right back. Like Reece James starting was a bit of a shock because we all thought he might make bench, but it'll be Gusto and Vega. So Gakpo had to do a lot of covering. Both wingers had to do a lot of defensive work because we were. I agree on the sense of the first 15 minutes. I'd say Chelsea were passing through the press. We caught them a couple moments. And the ref gave some stupid fouls. But for the most part, Chelsea were getting through that initial line of the press and getting into the feet of Lavia or Caicedo. After that, we kind of dropped off that initial line, went, let Tosin and Colwill have it. And we'll sit a little bit deeper, try and cut off the pass into a Caicedo rather than cut out the source of the pass in a Colwill. And there were still a couple of occasions where he's broke through, i.e. the goal. But for the most part, we limited that. As you were moving forwards, I think out wide, we kept Sancho up bar the penalty incident moments. Sancho didn't really do much. Trent, I thought, had a stellar game defensively.
Really
he
good game.
He looked like Maldini.
Was McAllister injured or?
McAllister had a knock, so like
Okay.
so he had the internationals and he got injured against Palace, so he was always a bit of a fitness doubt.
I felt like Szoboszlai was involved so much, but he just kept losing the ball. Like he would do great things to win the ball and then he'd give the ball away.
So I completely disagree with all this analysis. Can I have my say in this? I haven't spoken for about like 20 minutes. Before we move on, I could disagree with all this analysis, to be honest.
Move on to what? This is the biggest game of the weekend. This should get the most time.
There's nothing else to talk about.
Now let's keep going.
All right, we're in here until an hour, 30 minutes.
Yeah. So, fucking Madueke, that was it. Madueke actually had...
Yeah.
Go on, Mo. I want to hear what Mo has to say.
No. Go ahead.
Real mature. So Madueke on Robertson, I thought Madueke actually had him for the first half. He kept drawing him in and beating him. But the second half, he improved. I don't know. You might know best, Dan. Why did he put Neto on Robertson? Because I thought Robertson was actually all right then. The moment Neto was onto him.
I think that's one of the things that was an issue as well, is when he brought on Nkunku, he obviously put Nkunku on the left where Neto was, and Neto got moved to the right. But that's criminal for me, bringing Nkunku on at left wing. When you're chasing the game, you should be putting Nkunku, our top scorer in all comps, in a position to score goals, not out on the left when Neto...
that was a mistake. Everyone admitted that was a mistake.
It was a massive mistake. I think Maresca will look back at it if he's honest with himself and go, there are some things there.
Yeah, that one was...
But isn't that because of...
But then there'll be some things that are massive positives to take. Like Lavia looked really good. I think Madueke looked okay. But also, when we're chasing the game, Maresca instructed his players to start crossing the ball into Konate and Van Dijk.
Oh, yeah, that was fine for us.
Who are we aiming for in the box?
But isn't that a function of Liverpool?
But that is a complete lack of idea and trust in your tactical setup that you revert to crossing the ball in to defenders of that physicality and that ability. That I just cannot believe that is how he decided to try and get his team back into the game. And that solely happened because of the substitutions he forced his hand into making after 50 minutes. If you're 2-1 down at Anfield and you bring on Vega, Enzo Fernandez, and you substitute Tosin for Badashile, they're your subs on the 50th minute after conceding. That is, and you have to make those subs because
It has
you
to be.
gambled.
It has to be fitness issue then.
Yeah,
I
no, it
looked
is.
at it. There was no tactical reason
okay,
for him to sub Lavia and
It's
Reece,
a
right?
guaranteed fitness issue because
Yeah,
Lavia had only 50 minutes. Reece James had only 50 minutes. That's all. Enzo Maresca would have known that before the game started. Play Lavia for 50, control the game for 50 minutes, or try to control the game for 50 minutes. Okay. Reece James, do you need to play him? No. Bring Reece James on for the last half hour, attacking rather than playing as a centre back. Where's Reece James renowned for making his name? It's not as a centre back in a back three. It's as a right wing back attacking, being one of the most prominent attacking fullbacks in world football. Bring him on for half an hour and allow him to try and change the game. Maresca, there was no need to risk Reece James for 50 minutes at centre back in a foot race every single time he had to defend. There's just no need.
So can I can we change some gears a little bit, right?
What are we
So
supposed
first
to
of
do,
all,
man?
Tosin, no, forget what this is. Footy Judge Olu, not Footy Judge Mo. Forget about him. So first of all, Tosin, like I don't know why you guys got him because he just doesn't look like he's a top quality defender. Maybe it's just one game isolation, but I don't think he's.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
I know. While I was watching him, I was just like, he's not that great. He's not what.
He's not great. None of their defenders is great anyway. None of these defenders is that.
His style.
This game shows the leadership. This game shows the lack of leadership at the back. They needed that extra defender that is the leader.
So my second point is this.
Too old then.
No, but they haven't replaced him, Mo.
Yeah,
they let him go in the summer. And by the way, people are saying, "Oh, Chelsea are only a couple of players away, and they have to replace players." We've spent 1.4 billion pounds. How are we still talking about replacing players? That's when you have to go above the football in isolation.
So
look at reconnecting.
So
Tosin was an opportunistic signing. You know what I mean? Free signing, not a lot of wages.
And do you know what? If Tosin has to come in to cover when your best centre back who cost you 80 million is suspended in Fofana or whatever, okay, you might be like, nah, that's all right. But actually, Fofana hasn't been that great this season. So ultimately, Chelsea were well aware of Chelsea. I was well aware of the issues Chelsea would have defensively going into this season. So were 90% of the fan base. So were pretty much everyone else I spoke to. And then we're shocked because all of a sudden the centre backs we've got are making mistakes in their second biggest game of the season.
So that's my first thing, Tosin. The second thing is this: the saying, "Heavy is the head that wears the crown," and we have to talk about Palmer, right? And for all the crowning of him as the best player. Wait. He's been crowned as the best player in the league. Some people even said he's been the best player in the world. And here's the problem when people run out and make big statements like those, right? Especially based off one game. We have a situation like yesterday where it's a big game. The eyes of everyone who watches Premier League on that game, right? It's the marquee 4:30 p.m. sort of Anfield Road game, and he doesn't turn up. Like he was non-existent. I don't want to say poor because I think you can't actually rate his performance as good or poor. It was just non-existent. And this is where I'll say as fans, like now we're seeing the pressure is going to be put on him as a player. All the outside noise that's being made about how good a player he is, which I think he's a fantastic player. But when people are going so far into saying he's the best player in the league or is this and this, now the spotlight is going to really shine. And now we're going to have to see him perform at the level that everyone has now said he is at, because that's what the best players in the world do. And yesterday for me was a bit of, I don't want to say a black mark on because it's a long season and he's going to have more opportunities to play against the big teams, but people will be now rightfully critical of his performance if he doesn't perform because of the noise people have made about him.
Yeah, if this was a Foden or a Saka performance, let's just be honest, right? If this was a Foden or a Salah or a Saka performance, and Chelsea fans have to accept it now. You put him that high. Because every time the guy goes to a big game and doesn't perform, we can have the same conversations we have about Foden, Saka, Mohamed Salah, Erling Haaland, all these guys. Don't come back, because yesterday, Somali Flame in the chat, he's like, they're backtracking. Do you know what he said, Somali Flame? He said, he's still learning. Well, you weren't saying that. I wasn't saying that 2 weeks ago, right? But you watch how he plays against big teams, how yesterday Curtis Jones, do you remember Andy Herrera when he marked Eden Hazard? So Andre Herrera didn't do anything, right? In the game, other than Martin Harris. Curtis Jones not only took Cole Palmer out of the game, but had the penalty and the goal.
Yeah,
Can you imagine
Jones was brilliant.
if you're analyzing a midfielder and he's saying, this guy didn't only do his defensive job to the T, right? He had a penalty and a goal. So Curtis Jones gets a 12 out of 10 because normally when you mark someone out of the game that good as Cole Palmer, you're out of the game. So
yeah, but we don't take
Yeah,
anything
sure.
away from Curtis Jones here, by the way. Curtis Jones was
Yes.
fantastic, but you have to look at it that actually if Maresca believes Cole Palmer is his best player, then Maresca has to be able to adapt and change his system. He was so focused on the position that Cole Palmer was occupying rather than allowing Cole Palmer to have a little bit of freedom of movement, being able to go and get on the ball where he needs to. When Casado couldn't get through the lines or Lavia couldn't get through the lines, Cole Palmer is then your creative option. And he wasn't allowed to leave that position because of the way Maresca's instructed him to set up. And that's where I genuinely think going forwards, Cole Palmer will learn from that game. And I think Maresca will learn from that game because he actually isolated Cole Palmer by not allowing him to move away from Curtis Jones, who was removing him from the game.
Before we go on to the next thing, before I want to, guys, there's 500. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the game. I'm not going to talk about the game. 550 people here. We aren't even on 200 likes, guys. Hit that like button, people, before you go on. We cannot have 170 likes. Let's push the likes to 300. Mods, please push the likes. We need the likes to be a little bit higher. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry, apologies.
I just look at that Palmer thing. I think partly it's down to what Maresca done, but also I think that's where Slot nailed it. We were talking earlier about the way Slot's a bit more pragmatic. Both teams, their biggest threat so far this season has been transition. Being in moments of transition, getting the bodies forward and attacking the space that's created. Saw it against Brighton for you, saw it against United, AC Milan for us, etc. Arne Slot didn't give Chelsea any moments in transition. I don't think there was a moment in transition for Chelsea yesterday. The goal wasn't even a moment in transition because it was built up from the back. So it wasn't like you caught us. We had a bit of joy in the first 20 minutes from a high press. We caught Tosin a couple of times, Colwill once or twice, Reece James a couple of times, and most notably Robert Sanchez. But not really came from it. But it was there. With Chelsea, they didn't have that same success because we didn't build up through the middle. You try to build up through the middle because both teams have their best success attacking through the middle. We didn't build up through the middle. If you go watch our build up, off of goal kicks especially, Andy Robertson was in the box to receive the ball off the keeper or off Van Dijk off the initial pass. And pretty much every single goal kick and every single build out from the back ended up with Curtis Jones receiving the ball at what could effectively be seen as a left back position and then turning and bringing it in. But what that meant was if you were to ever catch Curtis Jones on the ball, there's no transition. You can't counter us through the middle. You'd have to wait, get everyone set up, and then we'd have the shape again. That's where I think people are discrediting, or not discrediting, but not really giving enough credit to what Arne Slot done. We didn't sit deep. We didn't park the bus. We didn't do all that. It was smart. It was little nuances in the way that we set up, which was smart by Slot to limit Chelsea's biggest threat. And yes, you caught us once with a really good move, which went through the middle, and it was a moment where we switched off and didn't catch you. Apart from that, you didn't catch us out again. And we had moments in that first half. We slowed down in the second half, attacking wise, especially after we scored. But I think Arne Slot done really well there in terms of a tactical. I don't think it's a case of he outclassed Maresca. No, I think he spotted he identified Chelsea's strength and nullified it. And I don't think Maresca ever really figured out how to then counteract that. And then obviously Curtis Jones as well. Obviously Cole Palmer is a great player. Curtis Jones put in a stellar performance on him. Curtis Jones was the best player on the pitch.
I want to shout out Robertson and Trent defensively. I think Robertson's been crapped on by pretty much everyone since, I don't know, for the last couple of years. And Trent, obviously, everyone's had that question mark over him. So I thought that they did very well to keep Chelsea out.
Robertson struggled in the first half, but yeah, second half, I thought both of them were brilliant.
I was surprised how well he did and how fast he was.
That was the best defensive game I've seen from Trent. Like, honestly, he stopped everything that, I mean, don't get me wrong, Sancho didn't give him much to worry about, but Trent's biggest issue has always been lack of awareness at certain points, right? And he looks totally locked in. I said yesterday he looked like Mikel Salgado, who played for Real Madrid, or Maldini, more than Trent, because he was just so defensively locked in. And it's only when they changed to Neto that you saw, okay, yeah, he could be got at. Oh God.
Are your kids okay?
You know what's funny as well? All these Chelsea fans
No,
in the
they're not.
comments going on about how we parked the bus. You do realise our defensive lines were about the same. But when both teams didn't have the ball, the defensive lines were sat at pretty much the same point.
I think it was probably just the way that Liverpool set up in terms of allowing it to happen more than Chelsea being forced into that position.
We just didn't high press. People
Yeah,
need to understand
exactly.
parking the bus doesn't mean parking the bus for me was defenders are camped in your box.
Yeah.
You've got a wall there. Our defenders were outside our 18-yard box by a fair distance.
Yeah.
No, I think
the problem was we just had everything so compact in the middle, so that the gaps in between weren't there. Yeah,
and that's exactly what made. That's exactly the point. That's exactly
little
the point.
Philly shell for me. Little Philly shell.
That's exactly the point I raised as a question mark before the game, saying that Chelsea and Liverpool both struggled against Forest when they did that. And I wondered if either manager would be pragmatic in the way that they set up. And it proved that Arne Slot was, and he decided that he'd take that risk and back his players in individual moments to create something. And ultimately it led to a penalty and obviously that fantastic goal from
Can I
Curtis
go
Jones.
back to hold on? Okay.
Let me
I
talk.
actually
So I was going to
this
say,
brings me back to the point about Trent Alexander-Arnold and all this stuff. I actually think Maresca had his setup right exactly where he wanted it. The players let him down. Maresca wanted to isolate Sancho with Trent, but Trent was superior. And Sancho, me and Dan spoke about this on Friday with Tom, that it should have been Neto, direct more. Sancho dribbles from a standing still position. Much easier for Trent to usher him towards where he wanted. Madueke got one time behind the defense, right, and passed it back. Someone shot their bed and didn't shoot. Maresca bypassed Liverpool's press, pushed Liverpool back until the penalty happened. Created a couple of opportunities from the sides. Let me just finish. Because if you look at the touches, I'm going to explain to you for the people that say they touched the ball 50 times in the opposition's final third, more than the middle third, Chelsea. That means the ball went to the wingers. The ball went to, exactly, the players let him. Because what he can do as a coach, guys, right? Any coach can do one thing, can put the plan to get his players to the positions he wants. It's on to the players now to dribble, to cross, to make that. But if the player keeps making the wrong decision, standing still, not going towards the defender and just pushing it back, Sancho, the reason why Sancho tried to dribble Trent, right? That is Maresca instruction. Go at Trent, try to, you should be the better player. I'm gonna get you on the position that you should be superior, but he failed. Madueke. How many times?
Sorry, go on.
But let me finish this point. Cole Palmer, for example. Cole Palmer tried to occupy the space behind Gravenberch Curtis Jones, right? But he was marked out of the game. The problem is you have two DMs on the pitch. They bypass the press. If Cole Palmer is marked, it can only go wide. And Jackson was marked. Right?
Yeah, but the best players, Mo, don't get influenced by being marked at the game. Eden Hazard would be marked at the game, and then he would drop to the centre circle, get on the ball, and
don't get occupied by a defender like Trent. Like, if you are a superior player, if you get isolated with Trent, at least half the time you should get the best out of him. But Trent, every time, Trent dispossessed him 5 times out of 7. Dispossessed him.
Because honestly, what I think Maresca believed would happen would be that Trent would be further up the field.
Yeah, he thought Trent would be alongside Salah.
That's it. I don't think Maresca expected.
No, I disagree with you. I actually disagree.
What? No one expected Arne Slot. No one expected Arne Slot to be pragmatic and move back into that defensive position that they did. I don't think they expected Trent to be that involved defensively and not much going forward, because Trent for the first half was pretty quiet in terms of going forward, and he wasn't sort of vacating that position too much. I think he believed Sancho would find himself in a space behind Trent when he inverted, and I don't think that space ever appeared. That's why
I actually disagree with you. I actually disagree. I actually thought Maresca went into this game. Sorry, Olu. I think Maresca went into this game on the intention of trying to play out of the press and dominate position at Anfield, which by definition will have Liverpool playing the mid block that Tom was talking about. Trent is not going to be high. Maresca didn't want to play in the counter attack. The one you're talking about is if he plays on the counter attack on the transition. Maresca wanted the ball the whole time. He wanted to control the game. That by definition means Trent will be in his defensive
Okay,
place,
and this is
not
this
offensive
is where
place. Right?
okay, Mo. This is where you then have to raise question with Maresca's tactics because
Why?
Maresca. Okay, listen. Maresca has come out on multiple. Okay, listen. I'll tell you why. Maresca
No, it
has
did
come.
for him. It did work.
If you don't,
The problem
know,
is
no,
the
it didn't.
player's
Hang on.
quality let him
No.
down.
Lost the game.
Mo, if you listen to what I say,
He literally
you'll
bossed the first 30 minutes. He was
No.
the best team. Go ahead.
Okay,
ahead.
okay. The game's 90 minutes, so for 66% of that game, he absolutely didn't have his team boss in the game. For half an hour, yes, and I can find all the positives in that first half an hour up until
Yes.
the penalty. There's a lot of positives. After that, when there's still an hour of football to play and you're back in the game at 1-1, there were still huge issues with the reason that Chelsea haven't come away from anything with from Anfield when they could have. And the issue I've got with Maresca is on multiple times, he has said that he wants his Chelsea team to play with control and play in a manner that allows us to dominate the ball and create chances through a team who are sat back and will play through them. Right? That's what Maresca wants to see. When have Chelsea looked at their best this season? In transition, on a counter-attack, when they are able to put the ball in behind or travel and beat players at pace. When they're in transition, Chelsea have scored a number of goals against West Ham like that, a number of goals against Brighton, a number of goals
Wolves.
against Wolves. Right?
Wolves, yeah.
We've looked fantastic when we've done that. Enzo Maresca does not want his Chelsea team to play like that. He doesn't. But Chelsea look best and they look scintillating when they're in transition. But
So
Maresca
basically, what you're saying, Dan, is Pochettino football is actually what works for this Chelsea team more than possession based.
I don't think that's fair to say because I think Pochettino made so many mistakes. I think where Maresca is on a shorter amount of time is better. I just think Maresca needs to. He's obsessed with his position-based formation and setup, and I think he has an idea of football that he wants to see. And where Chelsea have strengths and where they lie at the moment, I actually think he wants to remove them from Chelsea's setup. And I think eventually what will happen. Eventually what will happen is he will understand that there is benefit to having Chelsea in transition, and we have to do better when we're trying to control a game and break through a low block because we're not doing it at the moment.
Can I hold on? I want to come in here. But the players you have, the majority of your midfielders are position-based players. The likes of Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo.
Well, when did I say
Cole
Poch was
Palmer.
good, by the way, to that comment?
No, forget Poch. Forget. Guys,
Yeah.
can we just move on from Poch's thing? Poch
Yeah,
is
I didn't
US
say he
men's
was good.
national team
Didn't say
football.
that. Didn't even bring
Right,
him up.
coach? Yeah. Maresca, in my opinion, wants to play the football that you think, Dan, is the wrong football. Should I disagree with you? I don't think it's the wrong football, but I think he has to understand how good Chelsea look in transition and not coach it out of the team, but find a balance between what what Arne Slot did, where he's well aware of how good his Liverpool side are in transition. But I think Arne Slot is a superior coach, Dan.
Yeah, he
Arne Slot is a superior
Yes,
coach.
Mo,
More
you are bang on. Right,
experienced, yeah.
okay, you are bang on. He is a much more superior coach tactically, and his awareness. Yeah,
Experience,
okay.
yeah.
A resume is probably. I think winning the Eredivisie is probably comparable.
He
to
had
the
8 years of
Championship.
full-time coaching teams.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
it's just
Yes. And I think
more
that
situations. You get
that
my
is where
point,
we're
yeah.
seeing with Maresca that there has to be more adaptation in his tactical setup and approach. And I think if he adds that to it, I think he's got all the
But I
makings to
thought
be
he
a top
did.
coach.
Not in this game, but I thought he did. I saw also, in my opinion,
What
this
happened
game
against
is
Forest then? Because I saw exactly the same.
No,
Favourite to
but
break
I
down
thought
the team
against Brighton, he played
Transition.
first
No,
touch
but Brighton
passing.
played into Chelsea's hands, and then in
Transition.
transition, we look fantastic. No, hang on, Mo. Hang on,
Transition.
because-
Then
yeah, Mo, what you're saying,
adapted.
right? No, he hasn't. He hasn't adapted because ultimately
Poch's Chelsea would have beat that Brighton team because they played into that Chelsea's hands. It was a transition goal. I look at the Palmer ones. I look at the chances that Madueke had. It's transition. Not saying transition is bad. We're not saying transition is bad. But the fact of the matter is, that is still Chelsea's best line of attack in transition in moments. Liverpool, as I said earlier, did not give up a single moment where we could be hit in transition. Therefore, Chelsea's attack started to struggle. And in 1v1 battles with the fullbacks, Madueke had Robertson in the first half. Trent gave nothing to Sancho. Robertson gave nothing in the second half. Trent gave nothing in the second half. So the two lines of attack that Maresca has shown me this season work for Chelsea in 1v1s on the wing, which then get played into the middle, or in transitions when they catch a team's press. Liverpool didn't give them any. And then after that, they started to struggle a bit. That's all that's being said. Not that they're going to be found out or anything. Liverpool done well. I think this is praise to Chelsea for part, praise to Liverpool for part. It's not nitpicking anything. But for me, I'm not seeing why there needs to be this big thing made out of it. Liverpool just had a stellar defensive structure, like we have done for 99% of this season. It costs,
and also you have superior players. Why nobody's talking about that?
Yeah, they do.
Like, I thought both teams. In my opinion, I watched the game yesterday. Both teams were good then, right? But just Liverpool have more experience, superior players, took more the chances it came to them. I think that's it. Like
no according to some Chelsea fans.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Okay, but we're not.
No, I thought the game was. I thought the best team. I think the better team won because of. People need to understand that when we say the better team won, it takes into account that they have a Salah, they have a Van Dijk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, but Mo, for all the praise that can be given to Chelsea for what they did well in that game, none of that praise amounts to them doing enough to get a draw from that game.
How? Really?
Well, because they didn't. What Chelsea didn't do enough to get a draw or a point from that game yesterday. They didn't. They had 2 shots on target. You don't go to Anfield with 2 shots on target.
You had 3 Liverpool. No, you had 2. They had 5. Yes.
2 shots. We had 2 shots on target. Gave away potentially 3 penalties. Didn't do enough with all the possession that we had. Why on earth can we give Chelsea praise when actually we haven't even done enough to get a draw at Anfield? You can give Chelsea praise for certain things they did well. What, Tom? Sorry.
XG wise, it was correct. It was 1.9.
XG wise, everything is completely in Liverpool's
XG includes the penalty, right? Which is like 0.9.
Yeah, but the penalty happened. So
I know, but it's not generated.
Yeah, hold on. And if that penalty, Curtis Jones would not have scored. Curtis Jones had no idea what the ball was.
But if that penalty hadn't happened, Levi Colwill could have given a penalty away minutes before that one. Sanchez's penalty without VAR is a penalty, so it could have been. And what the action that he committed could easily be a penalty. They're just to only have. I
completely disagree with this, Dan. To be honest,
2 shots on target is not enough to draw you that game of football. Give me the opportunity where Chelsea did enough. Apart from the goal.
Okay, if to be honest with you, if you talk about the Sancho penalty,
Chelsea did.
I'm going to tell you
what Chelsea did.
The Sancho penalty, right, equals the Curtis Jones penalty. This one was given. This one was not given. Maybe you can say VAR intervened.
Okay, but if
you have the Vega header,
about that, that isn't enough for Chelsea to get a draw because Liverpool
why not?
Could have had.
They scored the penalty
because Liverpool could have had a penalty off of Sanchez and a penalty before from Levi Colwill.
I disagree. Both of them are not even close.
Hang on, Mo. Tosin could have been sent off as well.
Okay, hold on. I disagree with that. That's my personal opinion. I disagree with that.
Disagree, but if you're going to bring up controversial,
but we all agree that the penalty.
Remove the controversial moments from the game. What have Chelsea done to get a draw from that?
There's the Vega chance, Cole Palmer in front of the goal. Liverpool didn't create a lot of chances in this game. They got opportunities. They didn't have a lot of chances.
Right. We scored an offside goal, which was literally inches. If Curtis Jones plays that pass half a second earlier. Yes, but you said we didn't create any. There was one that was created.
That is why I said opportunities, Tom. That's why I said it's called opportunities.
Let me finish. We had a Soboslai chance just after we'd scored, which he's a fucking dickhead for trying to take too quick and not taking a touch because he's about 12 yards out and then falls over as he's hitting it. The Curtis Jones one, which was given as a penalty, that's a big chance in and of itself if he shoots and doesn't try and win the pen because he's about 10 yards out. We created chances. Neither team tested the other's goalkeeper. I think Kelleher at best made 1 save and Robert Sanchez made 2. And the saves that they made were any which I'm going, some save that's got. Most keepers don't make that save. It was a tetchy game. And when you're looking at the chance case, yes, the Vega header. Canate is touch tight on him, and the header goes so far over the bar. That to me, if that was Gakpo, and Colwill was there, I wouldn't say that was a big chance because we had that multiple times last year. What's the other one? The Nkunku one right at the end. By the time Nkunku touches the ball,
No,
it's
I don't think
it's
that'll be
practically
counted
out
as
of
a big
play.
chance. I think Cole Palmer's shot and Jackson's one. Where
I wouldn't count that as a chance. The Kunkunku one, I wouldn't. Nobody even counted that.
I think
The
Tom. I think
Palmer
you're looking at Tom. I think you're looking at Jackson's chance when he hit the post or the bar on the right hand side of the box, and I think you're looking at Cole Palmer's shot where you were saying about Van Dijk potentially being in a position to block him. I think they're the three clear-cut chances Chelsea had. One includes the goal. And I just don't think Cole Palmer's shot and Jackson's miss are in good enough positions to get you a draw at Anfield. I think
you'd be too harsh on Maresca for the one main reason.
I kind of agree with what Mo's saying, where I do think some individual quality let Chelsea down and let Maresca down in moments. And I also think there's points where Maresca has to do better as a coach, because Arne Slot did better as a coach and got 3 points.
I think there's one thing I would say against that, and Maresca did a good job, because the game I was expecting did not happen. The game I was expecting was that Liverpool would dominate. They would put all the pressure on Chelsea. They would break through them with their intense football that we're used to seeing from Liverpool, right? And that didn't happen. And I think that Maresca deserves credit for being able to play out from the back.
And that's not down to Maresca, though, is it? That's down to Arne Slot actually being pragmatic and saying,
I think you could say he forced that position.
I didn't go into this game expecting a high press. I didn't go into this game expecting us to try and suffocate Chelsea. I really didn't, because we haven't played that way this season. The closest we've got to that.
Played that way before. That's Liverpool.
But that was Klopp. Slot is very different to Klopp.
Tom, I actually think we discussed this last week. We said to each other, I think maybe Friday, I can't remember what day it was. We said, do you think Chelsea or do you think Maresca or Slot actually look to play in a similar way to Forest, because Chelsea and Liverpool have looked so good in transition. And we said maybe one of them does it, and whoever does it by being pragmatic might actually win this game of football. And it's exactly what Arne Slot did.
We were still catching it in transition. The ball, I know it's a different way, but it was Van Dijk and it was Gravenberch who was switching it all over to Salah. Salah, by the way, deserves a lot of credit for the way he played that. I know we got a goal and assist and we haven't really mentioned him, but the hold-up play that man has is ridiculous. The amount of times that he would receive a long ball and hold off whoever's pressing him, whether it was Cole Will or tossing, depending on if they'd switched, turn in and then create something like that. That's such an underrated part of that game. That's why we were able to do what we've done. The penalty came from that. The second goal came from that switch. Gusto doesn't get such tight, he turns, bang, beautiful cross, beautifully weighted cross. Again, the penalty that got overturned comes from a ball into Salah, which he holds up, turns, plays into Nunes, he knocks it on one more. That was the spot which we identified, because Gusto, it's exactly where we were getting caught out for years with Trent. The moment you push Gusto into midfield, there's too much space for him to recover into. Salah.
Exactly. We raised this point on Rational League last week. We said this exact thing, that there would be so much space in the area that Gusto leaves and vacates that he won't be able to transition back into that space. And Arne Slot took the gamble that his player in that area, one-on-one, would get him something out of the game.
Our wingers won the 1v1 battles. That's the be-all, end-all, because our winger was in a position where he didn't have a 1v1 battle for most of the game, because when that ball's going over to him, Gusto's trying to get back, Colwell's trying to go over, space opens up. It's pretty much exactly what we've done against United, which was leave the wingers high and bang it in there.
And Tom, Mo is right that when Chelsea then managed to get the ball into an area of a slight risk for Liverpool, their players let Maresca down, and I think that is where
100%, bro.
Mo, that is where you're not wrong with that, Mo. But at the same time, I don't think Chelsea did enough.
What I don't like, but I gave him, to be honest with you, can I say one thing before we move on about this? I give him credit for having the balls to sub out Sancho 45 minutes in, right?
You give him
not a lot of coaches do that. I give him credit for this. But Neto was way more direct. Neto took Trent to the line. He was way more direct. What I didn't understand is Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea looked 10 times slower when Enzo Fernandez was on the pitch. Everyone, by the way, every Chelsea fan agreed, bro. The guy looked slower than Lavia by like 10 times. It's just goes down. Do you remember? Hold on. Do you remember me in the beginning of the season with you, Dan, when I said that everyone is raving about the offense and everything, and I'm like, you're light in the midfield in terms of quality, guys. Imagine if Lavia wasn't fit for this game. You would have had to see Enzo for 90 minutes against this dynamic, energetic, physical Liverpool midfield. It would have been a disaster. Lavia literally was turning players, was receiving under pressure. Even Peter Drury, the commentator, he was saying, Lavia and Caicedo look unfazed with Liverpool pressing them. They looked unfazed. Imagine Enzo. But again, I can't blame Maresca for this. That's what he has.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
That's what he has.
I don't disagree with that at all.
What I didn't
think
understand is that
wrong.
why Joao Felix, for example, if I was Maresca and I'm chasing the game, I might have brought Joao Felix next to Cole Palmer, just risk it.
Yeah, but you
2-1,
could've-
3-1,
okay,
who
Mo,
cares, you know?
Mo, this is okay. So this is where we said this a little bit earlier on with Maresca, is that he actually decided to take off Madueke, I think, for Nkunku, leave Madueke on, leave Neto on, take Cole Palmer off for Nkunku, and Nkunku's the top scorer at the club this season.
But I wouldn't do that. I disagree because Cole Palmer can give you the moment. Can give you the moment. You know the point.
Nkunku scored at Anfield last year in a 4-1 loss where we couldn't even. This is the difference, right? We couldn't even have a discussion about Chelsea not doing enough in the game and potentially turning it up a little bit more to get a draw. Last season, we weren't even in the game at Anfield. You know, we were so out of it with
But we have to take, but you have to take positive from this game.
At least Maresca's made conversation happen. I just think he actually could have done a little bit more, and I think the Chelsea players could have done a little bit more. But this goes back to my point. If you know you have to bring off Lavia on 50 minutes because he's not allowed to play anymore because you're trying to maintain his fitness, don't then play another player who also has to come off at 50 minutes, that you're forced into making 2 substitutions at 50 minutes, no matter the situation of the game. Because that meant that he couldn't bring on Joao Felix.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like say that. Like I wouldn't say it's a mistake because he dominated the game. He was on the front foot, and
Yeah, but I don't think anyone sitting here is when Chelsea dominated that game.
Yeah, I thought before the goal, I thought Chelsea had the better.
They had possession. They had possession.
No,
but that's it.
We're not going to argue that again. No, I thought they were forcing Liverpool to play where they wanted. But honestly,
can I just say I just love the fact that Dan, you've managed to rattle so many Chelsea fans, and it's brilliant just watching them
because
complain.
they're all on false copium. We're sat in 6th place. We spent £1.4 billion with 3 points above the slated Ten Hag Manchester United.
You're 3 points above Ten Hag.
3 points above Ten Hag.
But it's the start of the season, so everyone's 3 points away from everyone else.
Yes, they are, and I think.
And you're 3 points behind the mighty Arsenal, though.
Factually,
league winners Arsenal.
Factually, if you look at it, I see what you're saying, Martin. But at the same time, Maresca's had no criticism. He's he's manager of the month. He's doing everything right. But there's moments there against Forest and Liverpool that are against teams that are sitting in a lower block that Chelsea haven't been good enough.
He's doing better than I thought he would.
So hold on, can I get the final say from everyone? I'm going to start with Dan. The final say, and I want people in the chat to answer this question. Everyone, including rivals, answer this question before we do the super chat and move on to the mighty league winners, Arsenal Football Club. I'm going to start with Dan. Did Maresca, in your eye, pass this test? With context into it, a lot of people thought he would get smashed at Anfield. Anfield test.
I said 2-2.
Okay, so he didn't. Yes or no? Yes or no, people in the chat. Did Maresca pass the test for you guys?
No, the test
says no.
The test is winning, and he didn't win.
Ask the panel.
I'm asking the panel as well, along with the chat. I'm asking you first. Then
you can't lose and say he passed the test.
I say no. Ask me to find positives from Maresca and what he asked his team to do. I can find them for you. They're there. They're obvious. They're evident. But I can also find you things that weren't good enough to pass the test.
The answer is always going to be no until the test is, can you go and win at a rival? Same way that I look at it as Arteta hasn't passed the test with Pep's team. I'm going to hold the same sort of view. You have to go to those guys. You have to go win. Whether it's you dominate or you don't dominate, go and win. So the test.
I think you have to draw at least.
You guys know why I'm asking this? Because it was supposed to be the biggest test of the season, bar the City game in the beginning.
Failed. Chelsea. If Chelsea want to be. Oh my gosh! This time last week, we were talking about Chelsea going into this game. If they win, are they in a title race? We're now 6th.
This is Mo's hyperbolic.
This is what I'm saying.
Narratives that he gets
people
going.
Just need to put a bit of context on how difficult it is going to be to achieve top 4 football this season. Because I actually have a feeling that Unai Emery might have got something out of that game. against Villa. I just think they might have.
All right.
Right. Can we go to the mighty Gunners?
Can we
Mighty
do
Guns.
Zoom chats that are related to this game?
Tom, you're on mute.
You are
can't say anything.
muted. You bottled it again.
I want to ask one more question on this game. Did Arnie Slot pass the test? Because obviously this was also a
Guys,
thing of...
magnificent, bro. This guy's magnificent. No,
Okay,
no
there you go.
McAllister.
Yes,
no
You've got your-
McAllister. No
I got
Luis
me ego
Diaz.
boost. I got me
There we
ego boost.
go.
Come on. Yes.
Are you kidding me?
My
You've got
manager passed the
you've
test.
got your
Why
dopamine
adapt,
hit.
bro? I've never, bro. This is not a lot of coaches that come to a team like this, and it's the first season for them, and they adapt by the phases within the game. Bro, the guy adapts within the phases. Like there's one phase in the game when he plays the one way, there's another phase he plays another way. Like he divides the game, and that's not easy to do. It needs years of coaching your team to be able to do this, and the guy did it in like 3 months.
Yeah, he's like ridiculously
ridiculous.
intelligent. The way he sees the game of football unveiling in front of his eyes, like in real time, is
Look at
like
Tom's
the
little
way
face.
He did it
the
against
way
Man
he
United.
reacts.
Bro, it's
I've got a
ridiculous.
manager with in-game management, so I didn't have this
Look at Tom's
before.
face. Look at him. Look at him.
Bro,
I've got a
literally,
manager
he
makes
changes the way he plays depending on the opposition.
Can I just say something to finish off the point on Maresca and his test? Is that okay? There are positives to take from that performance. However, he's failed, and we haven't got a point. But he didn't allow his Chelsea team to capitulate like Pochettino, which suggests that Chelsea in 3 years' time, 2 years' time, might be on a better trajectory than what they'd be on with Maresca than what they would have been on with Poch.
I will say the way the Chelsea fans are roaming the internet is as if they won. It's like they're
No one
they've
said
taken
that, but
much out
fine.
from the game.
Do you know who created that, Martin? You know who created this. It's
Who?
HUSAM when he started saying 4 and 5. Bro,
By the way,
he convinced them
Hassam's
that they're gonna
bottle
get
now.
smashed to the point that some people are actually saying, but we didn't get smashed. But we didn't get smashed.
Hassam's bottle now to where he's going on stream. Like, yeah. Maybe Chelsea are actually good. Maybe they will get the bottle job he's done.
What are we talking about, though? If we're talking about Chelsea fans thinking they've won that game, or
Nobody thinks that then.
or we didn't get smashed. Like, we're talking about Chelsea, one of the most successful clubs in the last 20 years, or it was before the last like 3. We're talking about a level that isn't acceptable as Chelsea as a football club. It's below par. It's below the standards. Chelsea and Liverpool is one of, and Tom will agree on this. Chelsea and Liverpool has been one of the most contested fixtures since like 2003, 2004, maybe even the 02-03 season when it was the Jasper Gronkier moment. Ever since then, that game has had like sting and fight and something extra to it. That was the
people
flattest
think
Chelsea.
this only started because of Caicedo and Lavia. This has
Honestly,
been brewing for years.
I
The
think that
ghost
was
goal.
the flattest Chelsea Liverpool game I have seen in years.
Who remembers Luis Garcia's
Yeah, the ghost
non-goal?
goal.
The
There's
ghost goal.
so many. There's the 3-2 cup final with the Gerrard own goal right when he was linked to join Chelsea. There's the ghost goal in 05. We are the only two. We are in Champions League history the only 2 teams from the same country to play each other in the group stages.
Yeah.
07.
I remember.
The Champions League semi-final.
Remember
08,
it was like-
09, 09,
remember
10. So
it was
many
literally
Champions League ties.
was
4 years
literally-
in a row we played them in the Champions League.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was almost as bad
We've
as that.
played
Was
at
bad, as bad as,
Anfield more than we've played at any other Premier League stadium in terms of away.
Isn't there something ridiculous like in the record now? It's like 10 wins out of 11 games to Liverpool in this head-to-head or something like that.
Well, at Anfield, it would be. There's a lot of
Yeah.
draws in there though recently.
Yeah, I think we the last game we lost to them was 2021 in COVID. Since then we are unbeaten and we've won. I think if you're not counting penalty wins, we've won 3 or 4. If we count penalty wins, I don't know. It's about 5 or 6 then because you got like Super Cup and League Cups and the FA Cup, but we haven't lost to them since COVID. Like when Mason Mount scored and we had fucking he's had Cat back at centre back. Oh my god! But yeah, people think that this rivalry isn't a thing. Liverpool Chelsea's been heated for years. Even the Gerrard slip. There's been cup finals in between the 2012 FA Cup final where Petr Cech pulled off that worldy save. There's too many moments.
Andy Carroll.
Before we move to Arsenal, there's a question for you, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in the title race now?
We're just moving in silence. We're top 4 team.
You are.
piss off.
You have to admit this.
You're doing
We're a top 4 team. We're a top.
piss off.
First season under a new manager, get top 4. That's all that needs to be done.
Right.
I'll be honest. You'll get a proper answer out of me after
Yes,
Arsenal.
we're gonna do Arsenal now, Olo. But I need to
Uh,
do the super chats,
We play Arsenal next week, and
which
you've got
is
some
very,
God
very
issues.
big game in the title race, in my opinion. Let me do the
That's
super
where
chat.
that after that game, Rational League on the Monday. Anyone who's
It's
interested,
either,
you'll get
it's
my
either
genuine
Arsenal are
thoughts.
out of the title race and your title favorites, or Arsenal are back in the title race.
No. I will just be speaking about Liverpool. I can't speak on Arsenal's future in the title race. But next Monday, you'll get my thoughts on Liverpool's title race credentials.
Okay.
Mr. Tom, are you old enough to date me and stuff? Oh, whatever. Probably yes. He's
Hello, Donald.
almost like 24. But anyway,
I'm not that old. You've had 2 years on there. I'm 22.
you kidding me?
I'm 22.
22. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Okay. Big up the people, whole panel. Hi, Tom, Mo. Describe Liverpool and Tom. Describe Liverpool game in one word. Best player for Liverpool. So describe the game. It was very balanced.
Mature.
me.
It was mature.
Yes. Best player for Liverpool. Curtis Jones, without a
Jones.
shadow of a doubt.
I
Best
thought
player
Gravenberch,
overall.
but that's me.
Curtis Jones.
Gravenberch was amazing. Best player overall, I thought Lavia, but he played only 15 minutes, so I have to give it to Curtis Jones.
Curtis
Jones. And best player in Chelsea squad, Lavia, without a shadow of a doubt. So that is the thing, Mookie. It's very simple. Mr. Iqbal is saying, Dan, please just go support a different club.
His name's Mr. Eggbali. Do me a favor,
You
mate.
are the
Come
worst
on.
Chelsea fan.
Do me a favor, mate. Your name is Mr. Eggbali, the most hated owner in Chelsea's history. Just do me a favor, mate. Come on.
All right. Again, we're going. Sancho should have gotten a penalty from Trent's tackle. He stepped on his right foot, yes, and never touched the ball. Clearly poor challenge, no call. We spoke about it, Bermuda Gunner, earlier in the show, and I think we all agree that it could have been given. It could have been given. It should have. But if I think if the referee whistles and they give it,
Like
I think someone said it yesterday.
It's accidental because he's not looking at Sancho's. He's just trying to plant. Sancho's turned him. He's trying to put his foot down to get leverage to go again. And it just so happens his foot
The ball
lands.
was already gone. He's going the other way. Yeah, I don't know. It's
I don't think Sancho's like turning the way people think he's turning. Like it happens the moment he starts turning. It is what it is. It's actually like I said earlier, if it gets given, I can't sit there and go, "Oh, it's a disgraceful decision." But I think it was
you guys got a bit of luck, right? You got a bit of luck there.
Yeah, but the ref was.
I'm going to tell you the difference. If the referee
whistles,
whistles, Martin, if the referee whistles and give it, VAR would not have overturned it. That is what happened. The difference between Liverpool and Arsenal defense is that Liverpool attack are more than attacks. Is that Liverpool's attacks are more than Arsenal's panel? I don't understand.
That doesn't affect the difference between our defense and Arsenal's defense. Is our defense doesn't give up as many high quality chances. We give up more chances, but they're not high quality. Whereas I'd say the chances that Arsenal give up are fewer, but higher quality.
I don't know about that. But
we'll
I'll
talk
just
about
say,
Arsenal now. Take a look at Darwin's average position. He's a dual king. Darwin came on the pitch firing, bro. He's trying to prove a point.
He might have been the DM we needed all summer.
Yeah, probably. Dan, you're truly expect Chelsea to park the bus with our defense. This was the best course of action, and it was decided by fine margins. 1-0 hits Joan hand, by the way, the penalty.
Okay.
I think Dan, you mentioned that, right?
You don't. Yeah, it did. It did hit his hand. And in the Champions League, that would just never even be given. But in terms of Chelsea parking the bus, I never suggested that. Like Sarri is the perfect example of a manager that will show you how his team can set up and turn the game horizontally into a game of transition without parking the bus. It's how you move the ball vertically that draws players onto you. And you have to draw those Liverpool players out of that position that they were willing to set in. We basically suffocated Liverpool into a position on the pitch that they were happy to sit in and play over the top of us for like 20 minutes. And then Liverpool were fine.
Okay, Tom and you guys asked to speak about the game. We spent an hour, 10 minutes or 20 minutes talking about Liverpool-Chelsea, which is the biggest game of the weekend. But I think the biggest result of the weekend is the mighty Arsenal losing to Bournemouth 2-0.
Guys, there's no more time, unfortunately. We need to end the show.
This is a scary game.
Wait, what? No, 149 short for the National League. No, it is
Bro.
no mo.
A little bit. Depends.
So,
But to be honest with you,
I
want to hear Olo's take because he's. By the way, I heard Martin's initial take on HUSAM's channel the other day. But Olo, the mighty Tony Pulis,
Mighty
Mr.
Tony Pulis. Exactly. I love it. Tony Pulis football. No, couple of things. One, we've talked about the red card and whether it should be red
Yeah,
card or
yeah.
not.
Just,
So
forget that. Yeah.
so I'm gonna start with there from a perspective of like the biggest disappointment was that Saliba just didn't let that happen. Like for me, I'm more about let the 1-0 happen. You're good enough to come back and win that game, as opposed to trying to bring the player down, right? I'd rather you just give him a goal or try to make the tackle or chase him down. So that for me was a mistake. I mean, he starts from Trossard, which he's got a few of these in him. Every couple of games, he does something like gives the ball away. I think of Brighton like 2 seasons ago where he passed the ball when he just arrived from Brighton. I think he passed the ball to one of the midfielders. So that happened. I think what was interesting was that for the first half after the red card, it felt still like an 11v11 game. And there were certain points when Arsenal was still attacking better than I expected them to do. So we didn't just drop back into a defensive shape. I think as we go into the second half, that's when it started becoming a little bit more defensive. And the biggest disappointment for me is that we switched off in the corner kick, which is something you don't expect Arsenal. I think we've been very good at defending corner kicks, and for some reason we just switched off. And from that moment, we were behind the 8 ball, and it's going to be difficult. The reality is that it's got to be a little bit more maturity shown in some of these games, like with the way how it panned out in terms of giving away that challenge for a red card. I would hope that it's a learning moment for the team in terms of, and I think Rice came out and said that we can't keep putting ourselves in positions where we're having to get away with trying to see out a game with 10 men, whether or not you agree with the decision or not. We need to stop putting ourselves in that position. It's still going to be a long season. I don't think this game defines everything. I mean, everyone gets to laugh, which is always fun for other people. But I always say it's a long time since people get the chance to laugh at Arsenal. So, enjoy your moments. I think the team will regroup. And the one thing about Arteta is that at least he's shown that he doesn't let situations or games just sort of define this. Usually with someone like, I remember back in the Wenger days, and I'm not saying that Arteta is better than Wenger in any way, shape, or form, but one thing I just remember is that we'd lose a game, then we'd lose 2 or 3 in the bounce. It was like a horrible week. Whereas I think we'll see how we play against Liverpool. I think we beat them, but yeah, we'll see. I think he will get the same to rebound. So yeah, the game happened. Bournemouth beat us. Take the loss on the chin. Move on.
The problem with me is that before that red card, you weren't the best team on the pitch. After the red card, and I said that many times. This new thing that a lot of people said Saliba cost Arsenal the game, right? But Arsenal should be the better team. You have the better quality players. You have the better coach, right? This is why you're going for the league. I thought Arsenal wanted to play on an opportunity here and there after the red card, which is something I disagree with. If you are the team that is going for the league at 0-0, you can defend the 1-0 lead, but you wouldn't. I thought you chose to defend a 0-0 after the red card, which is something I disagree with against the Bournemouth. If this was against another team, yes. Bournemouth are not fantastic. Bournemouth before that game, they were 14th, if I'm not mistaken. You should be expected to go to Bournemouth and win the game, but you weren't the best.
Well, with 10 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I would say this.
Hold on. I'm gonna say this again. Okay, hold on. Let me just finish this. People misunderstand the point about pressing. I'm not asking you to press, but I'm asking you when you get the ball, take better care of it. Don't get dispossessed that easily. Don't let Havertz be isolated up top. Still play 3 up top. Take one of the trust 2 midfielders on the pitch. Play 4-4-1 like all the other teams that are going. Put 2 wingers up. They can go back and forth. Put a striker and play 2 DMs only. You still had 3 midfielders on the pitch. No reason for that at 0-0. Once you go up, if you go up to 1-0, now you put another midfielder in. You take one of the wingers out. At 0-0, he chose right away to be the defensive coach of the game by taking a striker out. You can take a Moreno out and play Rice and
so he took Sterling off, and Sterling was having a poor game. So
I can respond to this before you come in, Martin. I can respond to this. You could have done that, and then maybe before you go down 1-0, put another winger.
So
instead of taking one and put one.
So before you go, Martin, a couple of things, just very quickly. So Mourinho had a chance where he dragged the ball wide, right? So there was a chance in the first half, I believe, where he dragged the ball wide. Martinelli had a 1-on-1 chance.
No, that
where he
one-on-one chance came from a mistake from Kepa. That was not.
It's
It
still-
was not meant to.
From pressing.
Exactly.
What
So
you
it
wanted,
still
pressing with
happened.
10 men.
It still happened.
Bro,
So the
literally,
chan-
Kepa passed the ball to
Yeah, but
you.
we had 4 men around him. That's why he passed it to us.
the point is still this.
Right.
The point is that a chance was still made by it, right? So it wasn't a case that there wasn't no chance. If there was 0 chance for Arsenal, I can understand your point of view. There were chances that were made. The problem is that I agree with you. That's why I said the maturity was the thing that disappoints me the most, right? And yes, in some instances, someone like a Man City can go there and pass and still win a game, right? Obviously, this Arsenal team isn't Man City, but not many teams in the world are Man City. So we have to accept for them for what they are. The reason why I say move on is because you have to take this game in isolation. If you're a manager, don't overanalyze it. You went on 10 men, you lost the game. Move on. That's the way I would look at it if I was in Arteta's shoe. Don't try to pick every small point about it, because I don't think, the biggest issue that should happen is, also the biggest thing that should be solved is not going down to 10 men, keeping as many players on the pitch as much as possible. And that comes from making better decisions. So the players who were getting pickpocketed, in last season or wherever it
Don't
was,
get red cards.
needs to learn not to get red card.
It's a
Like,
problem
I'll
now,
say
isn't
this
it?
about
Maybe you should
Saliba,
just
right?
get better
Like-
at your dark arts. You
What?
say you're this dark arts team, but you're really not great at doing it under the radar. and
Yeah,
not
our
getting
dark
punished
arts
on
are
it.
kicking the ball away 1 foot and like touching a guy on a turnaround. But in Saliba's defense, first thing you do as a centre back in that situation is you get your hands on the opposition and make sure they don't get full acceleration. You don't foul them, but you like hold on to them. You make sure they're not like running away from you. I don't think that was enough for the guy to do a full spin 360 thing. He touched him on his opposite shoulder while he was running the side. It was a really weird situation. Trossard was obviously at fault for that. But I think the real main mistake happened at the start of the game when Arteta chose that lineup. I don't think it was the right decision to try and put Mourinho in there. Firstly, he's got Sterling in there as well instead of Saka. And he's not really like that much of a right-sided player. We're expecting to see him on the left, right? So for him to become our like number 10 was like a little bit ambitious. And we had Martinelli out, Odegaard out, Saka out, like 3 of our main starting attackers. I don't think any other team with 10 men with these men out, main attackers out, would be that attacking. I just didn't expect it from us in the start to like be that defensive. I feel like Ethan Nwaneri should have started maybe, or Trossard should have been the 10, played Jesus on the left if you're going to bring Sterling in on the right. But Sterling had to come off because he was crap. He wasn't even running. He was confused about which man to mark. Bournemouth were playing out too easily on his side. Like, it was obvious that he was going to be the sub for that red card. And if your centre-back gets sent off, what are you going to do? You're going to bring on another attacker? Like, you have to give another centre-back in that position. So his hands were tied. I'm just sick of seeing these games going down to 10 men. Obviously, I was happy with that being a red card. I said this on HUSAM's channel. I said that at least it's like
Right,
an actual
Olo.
red card. What's up?
No,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
Olo
yeah.
has to go. So Olo has to go.
Peace out, man. I just don't think it's the end of the world, like Mo's saying, and we're in like a top 4 battle. And he's
It's not the end of the world. I never said that.
You said it. You said yesterday. when
I
we were
never-
in
I
the
never
top
said that.
4,
Never said
you
that. It was a joke,
insinuated-
and it was a joke. Someone asked me, Mo, do you think Arsenal are in top 4 now? And I'm like, yeah, it was a joke, and you know it, right? You know it. It's not the end of the world. You're 4 points behind
No, no, no.
Liverpool.
Don't
Come on,
backtrack
don't
now.
put things.
backtrack
Don't
now. You were-
don't do that. You know my point that I made
No.
yesterday. However, you're never going to be in the top 4 race because I think you're miles ahead of Villa and even you're ahead of Chelsea and all this stuff. However, I believe it will be an uphill battle if you don't win against Liverpool next week, right? The problem is if Saka's out next week, I think your offense will struggle, in my opinion, because Saka is so crucial. And by the way, this game proves how important Saka is to Arsenal. He is so crucial to how you go forward. It's crazy how people underestimated his value at Arsenal.
Well, only because we're missing Odegaard and Martinelli too at the same time.
Yes,
not really the
Odegaard
forwards.
as well. So
We were
before,
leaning on
without
Saka.
Odegaard, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need all of them back. I need to see my proper team again. I need to see my actual whole squad together. It's I get the feeling like I'm not going to, at least by Christmas.
Yes, I think it's going to be December before you see all of them. Again, Arsenal, to be honest, I don't like the way you're playing the games. I don't like the way the cautious Arteta play. I don't know if anybody want to weigh in here. Arteta is so cautious in his approach to the games, and I don't know why he's so cautious against at Bournemouth. Why? What is the reason for this? I don't understand it. Why you're not going? Even if you try to play on the front foot from the first minute, and even if you concede a goal, which is you shouldn't, because you are supposed to be the best. You have the best defenders in the league as a unit, so you are supposed to be able to have these defenders defending spaces, like sometimes Liverpool do. But
Do you
instead
think
of
it's a
that,
case
you
of
are
he doesn't
choosing
trust
to
his
be
attackers?
compact.
Do you think he just doesn't
No, no,
trust his attackers? So he wants to make
to
sure
come
that
back into the
they don't-
game. Oh, he doesn't want to fall behind. He doesn't want to.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily think. I mean, I'm just going by Bournemouth game in isolation. No Saka, Martinelli only on the bench, and the way the midfield and defense was set up.
Okay.
Do you maybe think that he's just like he doesn't trust the players that he's got and the personnel that he's got to go out and score 2 or 3. So it's a case
Oh.
of if we don't concede and we only get 1, we're still fine.
Nobody ever put it this way, but it's very smart way of
Well,
putting
it's hard
it.
to question
I
his
never
away
thought
record,
about it
right?
like this. I thought about it the other way.
I think he's won like 16 out of 18 away games or something this calendar
Yes.
year. We're in November, so it's hard to question exactly. Like, I still agree though. It was too conservative. We should have erred on the side of being a bit more attacking, so that we could keep the ball a bit better in their half and keep more pressure on them, because we can't just rely on our defense keeping everyone out. Like, it's just not possible. There's mistakes that we made and were made.
Yeah, but you've got no Odegaard at the minute. You got no Saka in that game. So that's your 2 chief creators out. Outside of them, Kai Havertz can create, but I don't think your wingers necessarily played into the game to allow him to do anything. Trossard didn't do well, and Sterling was Sterling. And then your midfield, obviously because Odegaard's not there and he's your best sort of final third threat from there, playing a midfield of Partey, Marino, who's making his first start, and Rice, that's a midfield that isn't necessarily going to be making these late runs into the box. They might have 1 or 2 moments like Marino did, but it's not going to be one that's pinning the opposition back. It was almost a case of, it's not a season-long thing. I think the thing that Arteta has is that he just wants to be slightly more cautious away from home, which is what most managers should do. But in this game, in isolation, I looked at it and it was almost like he didn't trust the attackers that he had available as a unit. So he had to make sure that defence wasn't going to ship anything, and they might hit them on the break or off a set piece or something, and losing Saliba kind of fucked up that game plan.
I think he should have put Trossard in the 10 because we'd been surviving with that. But I think Marino
Kivior was also horrendous as well. Like Kivior when he came on was getting ragged.
Well, he's not a right centre back. He's a left back / left centre back. So I don't really blame him.
Did you not have a right back on the bench?
What's that?
Did you not have like a right back on the bench?
I think what's his name? Timber's out.
Timber's out. Tomiyasu's out. Zinchenko's out. Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli was potentially injured, not fit enough to start. So we're struggling with a little bit of the positioning, but you're going to have to make some decisions about who comes in, who you put out of position, and I don't think we got it right.
Because if Timber's not available for use on Sunday, that's an interesting one.
We've got no Saliba, yeah.
That's I've seen today that neither Timber or Saka are in training, so I assume he's just trying to make sure that they can make the Liverpool game. But even if they can make the Liverpool game, certainly not going to be 100%. We've
got a couple of injuries where they feel like they should be back, but they're just not. Like Tomiyasu came back for 10 minutes and re-injured his knee. Timber played 3/4 of a game and then re-injured himself. Like, we're getting a lot of re-injuries from, I think, testing the limits on that fitness. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see who's playing right centre back.
It's almost like you're getting the side effects of 3 years of non-stop use.
We just don't have enough more quality players to swap people out and give them the
What
rest.
about Raheem the Dream? What about Raheem the Dream? Should be able to
he's
carry that.
asleep right now. I don't know what the story is. He should be running the hardest on the field to prove something. And I saw him walking around. So.
Remember, I criticized 2 signings, Chiesa and Raheem Sterling, and I'm like, Liverpool could have done with an extra attacker yesterday when Jota. Imagine if Jota's injured now.
Yeah,
Arsenal should have done with a quality attacker yesterday, to be honest. Not other than Sterling. You could have done with a quality attacker, especially with Saka being out.
No,
if you
you do realize Chiesa was never gonna, even if he was on the bench, he was never coming on yesterday because Slot won't play him up front.
I thought he could have maybe.
No, Slot's. He's like Maresca. He said that Gakpo and Diaz are his left wingers, Nunes and Jota are his strikers, and Salah and Chiesa are his right wingers, and no one
That's it.
overlaps. Yeah, no one overlaps because he doesn't like the idea of having one guy covering 5 different positions.
Anyway, I thought you could have used him in the midweek or something like that, like some rest. But going back to Arsenal, to be honest, this Raheem Sterling signing, I don't know. I was looking at the game like, well, Arsenal really could have used that top signing on that winger or something like that on the right side. It's actually crazy how narratives change within 1 or 2 games. I don't trust that Arsenal can win against Liverpool at home. And if you don't win, I think if I'm an Arsenal fan, I would panic. I know people don't. I'm just reactionary like this.
People do. There's people panicking already. There's people panicking before Bournemouth. It's panic stations at Arsenal.
No, before Bournemouth, no.
What?
Why before Bournemouth?
There's a lot of people that do not want the manager at the club, right? Like hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
Not now. Like, what is the point now? There's no point of now talking about Arteta out. Like now, no point, bro. We're October today, Martin. Yeah. There's still like 30 games to be played. There's no point.
I don't know what to tell you, but let's just say that there's an underground of people that love to talk about this as soon as there's anything goes wrong.
Yeah, but it's like Arteta needs to figure it out. I don't know if he will. Figure it out. The problem is the injuries and the red card are detrimental. If you don't have Saka, Odegaard, and Saliba, it's basically 3 out of the 4 spine people there. Basically, who can recover? I don't know. Should we blame Arteta? I'm gonna tell you something. Should we blame Arteta? Maybe no. If Van Dijk is out, Salah is out, and Gravenberch is out for Liverpool, are we gonna sit here and blame Arne Slot, or are we gonna talk about the signing?
I think it's complicated because Arteta didn't sign a striker, which I think a lot of people wanted us to do. So it's hard to make excuses for him if he feels like he had enough and he wanted to come into the season with what we've got. So I think there's a certain amount that's always going to be on his head. But I think the players have let him down with silly mistakes. So it's a bit of both.
Yeah. Put another way, the balance of the defense and attack, Liverpool does much better than Arsenal this season, 100%.
Yeah, but we're tighter in transition than Arsenal.
And also, didn't Liverpool scored the same amount of goal and conceded only 3. Okay, the level of opposition is way lower, right? But I'm waiting to see. Listen, the next game is going to be crucial for both teams, and I think the next game, is going to be crucial only for Arsenal. It's not for you. It's not.
By the way, Arsenal could win. By the way, and I wouldn't care because we beat them in pre-season. Yeah. So who's the real winner?
There you go.
Don't clown yourself like that, Tom.
We beat you in pre-season. That's what matters. We beat you on an away day to America.
Fair and square.
Listen,
but we've got to play Shakhtar. We've got to beat Shakhtar. You guys have to play Leipzig. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. You play tomorrow, Martin, right? Shakhtar.
Is Klopp going to be there for Red Bull? Is that going to be an awkward?
I don't think you started there yet.
Okay, all right. That'll be funny.
Yeah. Listen, I want to thank everyone that joined us. Dan's channel is in the description. Make sure to like Dan, subscribe to Dan's channel. Tom Little is going live. He was supposed to go live at...
That stream should have been deleted, by the way. It's supposed to be a video. I don't know why it's set up as a stream. There'll be a video out tonight.
All right.
But I am live in 45 minutes on the terrace.
Tom is on the terrace, which is going to take you to the football terrace, actually. Tom is live on the football terrace. Nobbin's channel is in the description as well. Rory and Nobbin's channel in the description. I'll see you guys maybe tonight on MHF or tomorrow. I don't know. Most likely tonight at midnight on MHF. Big up everybody that is here. Hit the like button. Get us to 300 likes, guys. Before you leave, the like button is underneath the live chat. Appreciate you, Dan. Olo, thank you so much. He was here before. Martin, brilliant. Tom, fantastic. Good win, Tom. Top of the league. You have to win the league now. No excuses.
No,
we'll see you guys soon.
We're a top 4 team, man.
We'll see you guys soon. We're out of here, people.